Gallagher, Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, and Joe Walsh. Get your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by Precision Payroll of America and by Joe Cotton Ford in Carroll Stream.
People have long associated the Ozinga name with concrete, but truth be told, Ozinga has always been on a quest to create a better world. We want to help you build your business so you can provide for your family, create better jobs, and build your community. It's why we constantly engineer better concrete, haul raw materials, and supply cleaner fuel. Together, we can positively impact the places where we live, work, and play throughout the Chicagoland area. To learn more, go to ozinga.com. That's OZINGA.com.
Chicago has long been a hub of architectural innovation, and the future of Chicago building isn't stopping anytime soon. At Ozinga, we believe it's important to continue pushing the boundaries of the construction industry, but it can't be accomplished alone. Let's build this city with ingenuity, sustainability, and with heart. But more importantly, let's build this city together.
Welcome to Jimmy John's.
Hi, your new 9-grain wheat sub is so good. How do you make it?
With the highest quality ingredients and love. I mean, we definitely don't sing at lullabies when it's baking. Lullabies are what parents sing to babies.
Right.
And we don't use a baby carrier to carry the warm, fresh 9-grain wheat subs to the cooling racks. I mean, they're not babies. They're for making delicious sandwiches.
Okay, I'll take a turkey tom.
Oh, don't name them. It makes it harder.
Try our new 9-grain wheat sub, Jimmy John's. Wheat yeah, freak yeah.
I used to post to job boards.
Only to sort through tons of resumes.
Just to find a few candidates for
my sales team.
My hair salons.
That old process was not smart.
Then I went to ZipRecruiter.
Its technology scans resumes for me to find the right people.
And actively invites them to apply.
So I get qualified candidates fast. Smart.
See why ZipRecruiter is rated #1 by employers in the U.S. Try it now for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. Based on Trustpilot rating of hiring sites with over 1,000 reviews.
Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice. Continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at unbound.org.
5:11. Let's get an update on the roads in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. In for Jim Talamonte, here's Dominic Fortini.
Road's still in pretty decent shape across the Chicago area. We do have a problem on the south side. 74th shut down in both directions in between Ashland and Loomis because of an accident with some injuries early on this morning. But everything else still seeing a very light traffic volume. No major problems along the Edens. You do have some nighttime road work wrapping up, causing a minor delay on the inbound Kennedy from the O'Hare extension into Cumberland. Looking good, both directions of the Eisenhower, 29 minutes from 390 into the post office, while the Stevenson outbound rolling incident-free. You're looking at 34 minutes in between Lakeshore Drive and 355. Outbound side of the Ryan, again, some nighttime road work just about ready to be picked up, causing a minor slowdown as you approach 83rd into 95th. Lakeshore Drive looking good, and our Illinois tollways all rolling at the posted speeds. From the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer starts next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the 1-hour Heating and Air Conditioning Weather Center. Here's meteorologist Kevin Snyder.
Some sun to start the day, then clouds will increase with a high today 74. Tonight turning out to be mainly cloudy. Just a passing shower with a low tonight of 63. Occasional rain and a thunderstorm tomorrow, high 80. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
58 O'Hare, 62 along the lakefront, and 53 this morning in Aurora. Your next news update is at 5:30. Continuous news coverage at 560theanswer.com. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy starts now on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Empowered Investing, the show dedicated to investors. Saturdays at noon on AM 560, The Answer.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Excuse me.
Wow, is that allergies?
A little froggy.
Well, hello.
A little froggy from...
From what?
He was a very underestimated member of the Rascals.
You mean Mike Quigley?
Our
my
gang.
congressman?
Yeah, exactly.
Froggy. Do you have allergies or
I don't know, something.
hay fever?
A second accuser. Calendars from 1982. Washington Post collusion. Bob Beckel's ex-wife. Hashtag I stand with Brett. The circus continues, and the tent is growing. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. Why don't we start with the second accuser, because you're always concerned in these cases, or somewhat expecting in these cases, a second shoe to drop, and it has. The woman's name is Deborah Ramirez, who attended Yale with Kavanaugh, and she alleges in a piece in the New Yorker that at a dorm party where she admittedly was intoxicated, there was a group of students, Brett Kavanaugh included, playing a game of playing pranks on one another. And the prank that Brett Kavanaugh played on her was to thrust his junk in her face. And then she pushed it away, causing her to touch it without her consent. She's now calling on the FBI to investigate Kavanaugh's role in the incident. I would think an FBI investigation would be warranted. Kavanaugh denies this happened some 35 years ago.
Yeah, her story's a little thin because the New Yorker and others reached out to other students who were at this party. They don't recall this at all. They said, well, she was drunk, we remember that, but that didn't happen. So that's where...
Here we go again.
Here we go again. A he said, she said situation. And the part that doesn't sit well with me is I felt like this was a rush to print just because it's timely right now. Oh, let's get it out there without even, this accuser, she sat down, Dan, for 6 days with her attorney and had memory manipulation to try and dig deep to see. She wasn't sure if it was him. And then after 6 days, they decided to go forward to the New Yorker.
Right. Here's how the New Yorker characterizes that. She was at first hesitant to speak publicly, partly because her memories contained gaps because she had been drinking at the time of the incident, the alleged incident.
1983-84 school year, by the way.
Then, in her initial conversations with the New Yorker, she was reluctant to characterize Kavanaugh's role in the alleged incident with certainty. After 6 days, as you mentioned, of carefully assessing her memories and consulting with her attorney, Ramirez said she felt confident enough of her recollections to say that she remembers Kavanaugh had exposed himself at a drunken dorm party.
He's denying it, and so is the White House speaking last night or releasing a statement saying this alleged event from 35 years ago did not happen. The people who knew me then and now know that this did not happen and have said so. This is part of a smear campaign, plain and simple.
Right, and this is here. The here we go again, both in terms of the nature of the allegation and then these others who are supposed to corroborate the story who do the opposite. This continues to happen with Miss Blasey Ford. The third person that was supposed to corroborate her story is a woman named Leland Kaiser, who is Bob Beckel's ex-wife.
I know.
I mean, this is
it's so inside baseball.
It's incestuous. The 49-year-old Kaiser, who was a professional golfer, and Beckel, parents, 2 teen children.
And dated Tiger Woods.
They're divorced, Kaiser and Beckel.
Kaiser,
she's married now to this guy, John Kaiser, who I guess started the golf program at Georgetown University, the women's golf program, where she was a coach. She was the golf coach. Anyway, she was supposed to corroborate Ford's story, and that's not happening. She rejected Ford's accusation. Miss Kaiser does not know Mr. Kavanaugh and has no recollection of ever being at a party or gathering where he was present with or without Dr. Ford. That's the written testimony that was offered by her through a representative to the Senate Judiciary Committee. So you still come down to this hostage negotiation that's going on with Blasey Ford and her legal representation, even though she's now agreed to testify on Thursday. But there are still these pending demands. And now the second accuser against the backdrop of the corroborating witnesses who don't support the stories of either accuser.
And then, according to Stormy Daniels' attorney, he said he has a third accuser that he's working with and that we'll know more in the coming days.
I think this is ridiculous enough without worrying about what Michael Avenatti has to say. Then now we're really getting into this kind of surreal space. The interesting thing is this is all against the backdrop what transpired this weekend of this press conference on Friday. Sort of remarkable. 87 women.
Oh, I loved it. Did you see it?
Hashtag I stand with Brett press conference. All awesome. These women who have known Kavanaugh personally and professionally, some both. I mean, including dating back to high school. The first woman who spoke was this woman named Sarah Fagan.
Did he go to Turnabout with her?
They knew each other from the George W. Bush administration.
Oh, good.
I first met Brett when we were both working in the early days of the Bush administration. All told, I worked closely with him for 4 years. No matter the hour or assignment, Brett was always the same: thoughtful, detailed, and wise beyond his years. And whether you were male or female, white or black, an intern or the chief of staff, Brett was also always the same: respectful, responsive, and available. His character was consistent. Simply put, Brett was a great colleague.
Maura Fitzgerald, known Brett Kavanaugh since high school, dated him briefly in college. She offered her testimony.
My name is Maura Fitzgerald. I've known Brett Kavanaugh since high school. I dated him briefly in college, and I have remained friends with him ever since. I want to make something clear, very, very clear. For me, this is not political. My being here has nothing to do with politics. I'm here because I felt it important to share my perspective on Brett's character and to talk about a man that I've known for over 35 years. The allegation against Brett is inconsistent with everything that I have known about him as a person. In both public and private, Brett treated me and everyone I know with respect. He has always been kind and good-natured. He has always been caring and concerned with the well-being of others. Brett was the kind of guy that you wanted to take home to meet your parents.
So can you square the circle? Can you square the circle of the guy that these 87 women on Friday are talking about at a press conference versus the guy the guy he is alleged to be by these two accusers?
I believe Brett Kavanaugh. I think that these accusers are politically motivated, and every time over this weekend with this cat and mouse game, there was another, deadline delay. She lost credibility. Anita Hill, when they asked her to testify, she did. She didn't ask for one camera. She didn't ask to go second. This one, to ask, it's too much pressure, so we just want a pool camera in there. Shut up and sit down and testify. I'm so sick of this crap, because that's what this is.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Sometimes when it rains, it pours right into your basement. This is Gus from Chicagoland Waterproofing. My mission is to identify why your home is taking on water and fix it. I want you to sleep at night during a rainstorm and not worry about your basement filling up with water. Like our client Kim from Mount Prospect.
We had chronic basement flooding and no one could figure out why. During a huge storm, water was pouring in through the window wells of our finished basement and we had to bail out 6 inches of water. We got a bunch of estimates, but Gus's was the most reasonable, plus he knew exactly what the problem was. He put in a full basement drain tile system and an additional sub pump with a backup battery. Chicagoland Waterproofing gave us peace of mind. I like to say, in Gus we trust.
From simple sump pumps to complex storm drainage and crack foundation solutions, Chicagoland Waterproofing's work comes with a lifetime warranty. Plus, a fully licensed plumber is always on staff. Request your estimate today at ChicagolandWaterproofingPros.com or call 847-296-3500.
Good news. You are not stuck with your health care plan. Really, you have a choice, and it's a great one. It's called MediShare, and if you've heard about it and wondered what exactly it is, it's a way that people share their health care bills. And these are people who have a common faith, who want to be part of something beautiful that not only meets their healthcare needs, but the needs of others too. And it's people who love to save money big time. Medishare members typically save $500 a month per family on their healthcare costs. That is a life changer for people. So this could be for you. Maybe it's what you've been looking for, a way to pay healthcare bills that's not only very smart financially, but it's even profound. Medishare is a nonprofit with 400,000 members nationwide who pray for and share with each other. So yes, you're not stuck. There's another way, and it could save you a lot. Hit *228 to find out how much you can save on your health care. Message and data rates may apply. That's *228.
Attention maintenance coordinators. Fans are a vital part of your business's building or factory. You've got to keep the air moving. But when they break down or need service, who can you call? Vans Industrial repair all types of fans, from small wall fans to large air movers.
Hi, I'm Dave Van Camp, president of Vans Industrial. Fan repair is one of many services that Vans offers. If you have a fan with a damaged shaft, bearing, impeller, or housing, we can help. And if you need a new fan, we handle all major brands and can provide engineering assistance to properly size your new fan. Our crews can respond to your emergencies or routine maintenance and will have your fan back up and running fast. And when we're done repairing your fan, we can also dynamically balance it so it runs smooth for years to come.
Vans uses only the best and safest union-trained mechanics, insured at the highest level, to perform the job right. Call 833-VANS-IND to get your fan repaired today. That's 833-VANS-IND. Or on the web at vansindustrial.com.
Hi, I'm Tom Sadeka, President and CEO of Precision Payroll of America. We're the 35-year-old company whose first employee and first client are still working together. Without further ado.
Hi, I'm Patty Fritz, Precision Payroll's first employee. Yes, I'm real. I love working with my team and our clients and providing the best service and support. Hard to believe it's been that long. But when you love what you do, it's great. And I do love what we do at Precision Payroll. I didn't start for myself either.
That's right, Patty. I was there day one, and I'm still working with you today. Hi, I'm Jack Bishop, owner of Priority Logistics in Elk Grove, and Precision Payroll's first client. Yes, I'm real too. Precision Payroll has served us exceptionally for 35 years. We've grown together over the years, and I look forward to many more to come.
Jack and Patty, thank you both for making Precision Payroll of America a great company to do business with. To join our growing ranks of clients, visit us at precisionpayroll.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Tweet from Kevin Rooney. Kavanaugh sounds like one of those guys all the girls like because he didn't hit on them. Half of them probably assumed he was gay just to preserve their own egos. Yeah, I was like one of those guys. Well, not exactly. I was one
You
of those guys.
still are one of those guys.
Shoo, you go away. You leave. Shoot, get out of here.
Well, you have personal security, right, to keep the ladies
Yeah, oh
away?
yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's me.
But Vice President Mike Pence, he was at an event on Friday night, and let us know how he felt about Kavanaugh.
But honestly, the way some Democrats have conducted themselves during this process is a disgrace and a disservice to the Senate and the American people.
And President Trump was in Missouri on Friday.
Brett Kavanaugh, fantastic man. He was born for the U.S. Supreme Court. He was born for it. And it's going to happen.
Yeah, well, the other thing that's going to happen is this is going to go, full chaos this week. As you would expect, protesters are being bussed in from a number of groups. I mean, you thought the confirmation hearing was a circus. The Women's March, MoveOn.org, and others are bussing in professional protesters to prepare for to descend on D.C. this week for all of this rigmarole. Protesters, jail bail, legal fees, transportation being paid by these leftist groups, many of whom individuals and groups are being financed by George Soros, of course.
Honestly, it breaks my heart. And, of course, with the second alleged accuser coming forward now, Democratic members on the Senate Judiciary Committee want Kavanaugh to withdraw his nomination. We need to suspend this indefinitely, postpone the vote for 3 weeks. It's just such a sickening thing what is happening to a decent man that it breaks my heart.
Well, he does have his summer of 1982 calendars to enter into evidence. Calendars from that time period he plans to hand over to the Senate Judiciary Committee that do not show a party consistent with the description of Ms. Blasey Ford, according to someone working on his confirmation that spoke to the New York Times on condition of anonymity. The calendars do not disprove the allegations. The Kavanaugh team acknowledged. He could have
like he wasn't at summer camp during that time period.
Well, I mean, it's a calendar, so I mean, you could have attended a party, you didn't listen to your calendar, but the team argues that the calendars provide no corroboration for her account of a small gathering at a house where he allegedly, pinned her down and tried to remove her clothing, according to her allegations. Pages from June, July, and August of 1982 were examined by the New York Times. Boy, this is
oh my gosh!
This is why you went to J school, right? To do a forensic examination of Brett Kavanaugh's 1982 calendars.
This is so stupid, but go on.
I just hope that this just better not be one where a scantily clad Sandra Day O'Connor is the pinup girl.
All right.
Because then Kavanaugh's really getting himself in hot water.
She was the month of June. Also, too, all evidence has to be submitted by 10 a.m. Tuesday. Eastern time.
Yeah, until that deadline gets moved by Chuck Grassley and Surrender Republicans.
You know what they should do? They should say, you know what, F it, let's just go straight today and have the vote.
Well, or
honestly, because there's still a possibility that this is going to fall through, that she's not going to show up on Thursday. I'm not 100% sold that she's going to be there.
Right, there's agreement.
She's not going last.
There's agreement in principle, but there's still these pending demands, and how she reacts to those demands. I mean, who knows? This was like an hour-by-hour update over the weekend. It started on Friday with this idea, well, she couldn't do Monday because she didn't want to fly from California to D.C. She was going to have to drive.
But it's the Democrats will suck
John
up money.
Madden?
Well, doesn't she have a GoFundMe page already?
Oh, yeah.
To pay for her defense? Well, I'm sure they could kick in some miles. Yeah, she met with the FBI on Saturday. That's why they couldn't decide, because she was meeting with them to talk about her safety. They're dragging this on and on and on. And I'm telling you, her story is lost credibility with me.
Well, the man-hating senator from Hawaii, Mazie Hirano, wants to know all about what high school was like at Georgetown Prep. We'll have her comments at 5:38.
And later, thank you, Mr. Drug Dealer, for not shooting me when I took a wrong turn in Douglas Park on Friday night. But first, let's go into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
59 degrees at 5:31. A new allegation of sexual misconduct against Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh. New Yorker reporting a woman named Deborah Ramirez claims Kavanaugh exposed himself in front of her when he was a student at Yale. Now, Ramirez says the incident happened at a dorm room party. Illinois U.S. Senator Dick Durbin has weighed in, defending the woman accusing the nominee, Brett Kavanaugh, of sexual assault.
When someone steps forward and accuses another person of this kind of sexual assault, it needs to be taken seriously. We need to treat that person with respect and look at the allegations that have been made.
That is Durbin's opinion. Senator Lindsey Graham weighed in with his.
Unless there's something more, no, I'm not going to ruin Judge Kavanaugh's life over this.
Kavanaugh said in a statement the accusation was a smear. World leaders are bracing for another round of confrontation with President Trump a day before the UN General Assembly's general debate begins on Tuesday. Recovery efforts are still underway after Hurricane Florence in North Carolina. I-95 has reopened after being shut down September 15th. Comedian Bill Cosby set to be sentenced for drugging and sexually assaulting Andrea Constand. The sentencing phase scheduled to begin in a Harrisburg, Pennsylvania courtroom this morning. Iran's Revolutionary Guards have threatened what a leader of the elite unit calls a devastating revenge plan on the U.S. and Israel. After a deadly attack on a military parade over the weekend, 25 were killed when militants disguised as soldiers opened fire on Revolutionary Guards as they marched. Arab separatists in the region have claimed responsibility. The latest tariff round against China now in force. The Trump administration last week unveiling plans to hit $200 billion worth of Chinese imports with 10% tariffs. They went into effect this morning. A school bus driver in Indiana is under arrest after allegedly letting students drive the bus. The 27-year-old bus driver was arrested Friday and this morning faces a felony charge of neglect of a dependent. Police say she allowed an 11-year-old, 13-year-old, and 17-year-old to drive short distances near Valparaiso, Indiana. Multiple shootings investigated by Chicago police since Friday evening. One person killed, 24 wounded on Chicago's streets. An investigation continues into 2 cases of Legionnaire's disease. Chicago Department of Public Health says the only commonality between the 2 cases is a downtown hotel, the Embassy Suites in River North. Bears turn a 14-0 first quarter deficit into a 16-14 win over the Cardinals in Glendale. Bears QB Mitchell Trubisky says it was the defense that got it done.
Ugly, hard-fought battle on offense, but we know if we just keep battling back that our defense was going to shut them down and get the ball back for us, and that's exactly what they did. So they created a lot of momentum for us, and it's huge in the field position game as well. Jordan Howard, nice on the ground for the Bears. He scored from 1 yard out for Chicago's only touchdown. Sox fell to the Cubs 6-1 at Guaranteed Rate Field. Kyle Schwarber homered in double as the Cubs took the rubber match of that 3-game set. Bulls begin training camp today. Blackhawks finish out the NHL preseason this week. The news a service of unbound.org. Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice. Continue the dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. See how far your support can go at unbound.org. 5:35 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher, once again, has to do the mainstream media's job.
More economic great news. Optimism among small business owners reached a record high in August. So we keep seeing these historic record statistics and information. And guess what? It's being ignored.
The Mike Gallagher Show. Weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Are customers passing you by because it's a major hassle to park in your lot? Convenient and safe parking may be one of the most overlooked aspects of your business. You've neglected your parking lot for way too many years. It's falling apart and could be scaring business away. Pavement Solutions can get your parking lot in shape. With proper care, you can extend the life of your current lot with Pavement Solutions' certified specialty blend product called Gem Seal, Black Diamond, and Duramax. Yeah, it's a mouthful, but the best seal coat product in the industry. It'll protect your lot from sub-zero temperatures to a scorching 110-degree sun and features an abrasive, non-slip coat for safety and durability. With Enduramax, your lot will have that brand new feel and look at a fraction of the price of a new lot. You and your customers will be safe, and your business will look great. For parking lot repairs to snow removal, go to fixmylots.org. That's fixmylots.org. And get a free estimate. Plus, learn about getting 5% off your next job from Pavement Solutions.
Hey guys, Ken here from the hit podcast Today's Growth. Who would win a 3-mile bicycle race, an 11-year-old girl or last year's winner of the Tour de France? It all depends on the bicycle. It depends on their vehicle. Both on a 10-speed and the pro racer is going to win every time. But put the racer on a tricycle and the 11-year-old wins every time. You see, it's not the driver, it's the vehicle. When it comes to generating revenue, it's exactly the same. If you have a job or a small business, you are riding a tricycle. You can only go so fast. If you need to make up lost ground, it's not going to happen on a tricycle. No matter how fast you pedal, it's simply not going to win the race. Why do many people with no schooling and no advanced degree often become very wealthy? Simple. They choose to only ride 10 speeds. When it comes to helping people create their next revenue model, both Forbes and Inc. recommend Income Store as a can't miss when it comes to putting people on a 10-speed. Could your household or business use an additional revenue model that doesn't solely depend on you? If so, you need to check out IncomeStore.com. That's IncomeStore.com.
Check out the newest podcast from the Associated Press, Ground Game, hosted by AP's Meghan Crane. A weekly conversation about top political issues ahead of the upcoming midterm elections. Available on Apple Podcasts.
5:37. Let's get an update on the roads now in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center in for Jim. Here's Dominic.
Looking good across our Chicago area early this morning. No big-time problems on our area expressways, but on the south side, 74th Street remains closed between Ashland and Loomis. That's because of an overnight crash with some injuries as crews still dealing with that crash. Eden's looking good in both directions. 19 minutes in between Lake Hook and Montrose. On the inbound Kennedy, no big-time hassles But you do have a slowdown from the O'Hare extension to Cumberland. Just a quick tap of the brakes in that group. 22 minutes overall, O'Hare into downtown. 10 from the junction, 8 in the inbound express. You're problem-free on the outbound side. Both the Eisenhower and Stevenson are rolling incident-free. Outbound Stevenson looking at 34 minutes from Lakeshore to 355. On the outbound Ryan, watch for some minor delays in your 87th. Had some overnight road work in the area. That's been picked up. You have a brief delay out to 95th. From the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the 1-hour heating and air conditioning weather center. Sunshine will give way to clouds, a high of 74. Cloudy, mild with a passing shower, low of 63 overnight. 58 right now. Next news coming up at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by the Lou Bridges Show. Get foreclosure defense solutions that may save your home. Saturday mornings at 8 on AM 560, The Answer.
Tickets for Freedom Summit Chicago are on sale now at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com.
Good morning, Dan and Amy taking your calls, 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line.
Hey, did you gargle glass over the weekend?
Yeah, something.
I like it. Very raspberry.
Yeah, it sounded like Kim Carnes.
Kim Carnes.
Yeah. Got a voice so husky it could pull a dog sled. Kathleen Turner in Body Heat before she...
Yes, before she what, Dan?
Oof.
Do tell.
Before she was unable to make a sequel to Body Heat. All right, we're trying to update the Kavanaugh circus, replete with the trained seals that will be coming to D.C. to bark for their supper, courtesy of George Soros. But a lot of moving parts. And, of course, senators weighing in. Mazie Hirono.
Oh, my gosh. She needs to go bye-bye.
She, I think
she just needs to spend more time with her family.
I think she was very generous to allow Jake Tapper to speak in the form of interviewing her on his State of the Union program over the weekend, because remember last week she said that all men in this country should just shut up and do the right thing for once.
Shut up and step up.
Yeah, okay. And Tapper was allowed to speak for the purposes of interviewing her, and it was... it was relevant because she's sort of previewing what the arguments are, what the arguments the left is going to advance this week are. Mazie.
Wouldn't the concern about Kavanaugh and Professor Ford be more credible if Democrats were also condemning similar charges against Democrats in their midst, including Congressman Ellison?
I've been very clear that I make no excuses for anybody who engages in this kind of behavior. And as far as Keith Ellison, these allegations need to be investigated and appropriate action taken. Meanwhile, we have, within the next week or so, we have before us a nominee that is under a cloud. There's not even a modicum of investigation. And so we are left with basically he said, she said. This happens a lot in the context of sexual assault. We know this. So, for example, when the person who's running against my sister, Heidi Heitkamp, when he says, oh, nothing happened, really? I don't think North Dakota should be electing somebody who does not think that attempted rape is a crime. But this is the context, this is the environment in which we are having this discussion. So I want to be very laser focused on the fact that this person who already has credibility issues, he will misstate the holding of a case, cases that I'm very familiar with. He will misapply the case. And I said at his hearing, I do not want to have a person on the Supreme Court who doesn't seem to be able to apply the facts in ways that do not meet his outcome-driven agenda. At the same time, we now have this cloud. Mm-hmm. You know, we already have one person in the Supreme Court who got there under this cloud. We should not have another.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Mazie Hirono, number one, I mean, her sister?
Well, like her sister in Senate, sister friend.
I get what she's saying, but process that a little bit. The attitude that speaks to. I mean, my sister from North Dakota, brother.
They burn their bras together. I think that's what they do for initiation.
Please. This is a family show.
It's still smoldering.
The last thing we need to talk about is Mazie Hirono's bra. So that's number one. Number two, interesting on Keith Ellison. Hey, Keith Ellison's being investigated. Well, he's being investigated by his own party in Minnesota.
And we'll get to that later because they had a candidates forum, and he defended himself, and I think you'll like what he had to say.
I saw that, and but Keith Ellison, it's investigate and wherever the facts lead. Brett Kavanaugh has already been convicted, and he should withdraw.
Right. Well, she said there's
the entire membership, Democrat Senate membership of the Senate Judiciary Committee has already passed judgment on Brett Kavanaugh. I don't even know why they're so interested in either one of them testifying. They've already made up their minds.
Well, she refuses to say if Kavanaugh has presumption of innocence because she said women need to be believed. Listen to this.
Doesn't Kavanaugh have the same presumption of innocence as anyone else in America?
I put his denial in the context of everything that I know about him in terms of how he approaches his cases. As I said, his credibility is already very questionable in my mind and in the minds of a lot of my fellow Judiciary Committee members, the Democrats. So he comes and, when I say that he's very outcome-driven, he has an ideological agenda. It's very outcome-driven, and I can sit here and talk to you about some of the cases that exemplifies his, in my view, inability to be fair in the cases that come before him. This is a person that is going to be sitting on our Supreme Court making decisions that will impact women's reproductive choice. He has
there it is.
He very much is against women's reproductive choice.
So there it is. There's the tell. The translation, all of the bluster from Mazie Hirono and so many others, Roe v. Wade. That's all this is about.
Right.
And Brett Kavanaugh changes the balance of the court on that issue and a host of other issues that regard bad judicial decisions, bad law. But anyway, that's what this is about. It's about Roe v. Wade, plain and simple. And so where does Mazie Hirono and her
sister friends?
Yeah. Where do they want to take it this week? She gave a little indication.
Oh, good.
I would be wanting to hear what kind of environment it was in high school. Apparently, there was a lot of drinking and partying going on. This is why we need an investigation. We need an independent investigation that lays all of that out for us so that there's at least some chance of some outside entity like the FBI.
Independent investigation into Georgetown Prep to see what was going on there in high school. Apparently,
36 years ago.
Apparently, there was some drinking and partying. I don't know if that's unique to Georgetown Prep, but
is it unique to any high school in the country?
But let me ask this question to Mazie then, and to you. Oh, if you want to know what the environment was like in high school and how Brett Kavanaugh fit into that environment, I mean, I don't want to get into piercing like rape shield law protocols here, but do you want to understand how Christine Blasey Ford fit into that environment too? Because I mean, if we're just going to rumor monger and make unsubstantiated allegations, I have friends who went to Georgetown Prep around that time.
Yeah.
I've heard things about Christine Blasey Ford now. I've heard what her alleged nickname was.
Well, what was it?
I'm not going to repeat it. I'm a
hold on.
gentleman.
Hold on. Stand by.
This is
Play
why
some elevator music, please.
This is why we have breaks.
Well, no.
I'll
need
tell
to
you.
know now.
No.
That's so rude.
No.
Such a fuddy-duddy. Why are you going to be so nerdy-like? Just tell me.
I'm a gentleman.
So she got around. Well, no, listen to me. That sounds awful.
I mean,
it was high school. People do stupid things, both men and women. Or
I'll tell you what.
Girls and young men.
Here's what I'll do.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what I understand her nickname to be if you tell us what happened, what you did when you were 15 years old in high school.
Heck.
That's a trade.
No, not going to happen. Not going to happen. But my story can be corroborated.
Oh, really?
The witnesses are still alive, except for one's in jail.
Mark Judge? Should we subpoena Mark Judge about what you did in high school? How about
it was one bad day.
How about Leland Kaiser?
Oh, Bob Beckel's ex-wife?
Leland Kaiser Sose.
Yeah. Because none of them could corroborate her story.
How about PJ? Patrick Smith or whatever his name was.
Yeah, whatever. What's his scoop?
Same thing.
Same thing?
Just another guy who's refuting what Christine Blasey Ford is alleging, or at least doesn't have any recollection to substantiate her claim. But now you've got this problem of this second accuser. And, of course, in addition to wanting to understand how much of a wild and crazy guy Brett Kavanaugh was in high school, you've got the Senate Democrats who are going to seize on Deborah Ramirez, the second accuser, as recounted in the New Yorker, and say, well, now, and it'll be interesting to see.
They're not going to subpoena her to testify, are they?
Well, I don't know that they need to, but it's not going to be. It's going to be interesting to see how stout of heart Republicans are. What happens now that there's a second accuser? What happens with Jeff Flake? What happens with Susan Collins? What happens with Lisa Murkowski, particularly Flake? What happens with Chuck Grassley, who's sort of been operating from the wrong premise that what's really the interest here is some presentation of fair play. The left has no interest in fair play. They have no interest in due process. They have no interest in the facts. They have no interest in corroboration. They have an interest in doing two things. One, obviously spiking the Kavanaugh nomination. I don't even think when this started they believed that was possible.
Right.
But maybe it is now. I think this is all, hey, we know he's going to get confirmed. We don't have the votes. But what we can do is turn this into what we've turned it into, the circus, and whip up our base. And because that's what the horde requires. It requires more frenzy, not more reflection. This is about midterm turnout for them, ultimately. If they were able to kill the Kavanaugh nomination, that would be gravy.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper. Hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
The last time you tried to set up for a presentation, it was a disaster. Your coworkers were embarrassed, and your clients had a look on their faces like they'd rather be anywhere else. It could have gone so much smoother with a conference room designed and installed by Midwest Computer Products. You spend precious time creating the perfect presentation, only to have it all blow up because your audio-visual equipment is outdated and not compatible with current technology. Partner with Midwest Computer Products for a space that dazzles your clients and employees and saves you the constant headache of keeping up with technology. Whether you're reimagining your corporate conference rooms, creating a huddle space, or implementing a video conferencing initiative, Midwest Computer Products is ready to help your business become state-of-the-art. And for a limited time, Midwest Computer Products is offering free design and consultation service when you upgrade your conference room. Get a quote today and see all that Midwest Computer Products can do for your business at MidwestComputer.com. That's MidwestComputer.com.
Oh, it's fall, and I love sleeping with the windows open, but are you really sleeping as well as you could? Well, the MyPillow buy one, get one free offer is back for September, and if you haven't purchased your MyPillow yet, here's your chance to get one for yourself, give one to a loved one, or give one maybe as a gift. The gift of sleep is a great choice. I love that I can move the fill to get the support I need, regardless if I sleep on my back or side, and I never, ever wake up with a stiff neck or headache. MyPillow is made in America. You can wash it and dry it at home. 10-year warranty, 60-day money-back guarantee. Go online or call now for this great buy one, get one free deal. Plus, you can get 30% off everything else. That MyPillow mattress topper, pet beds that I've been telling you about that Bunky loves. You can wash them and dry them at home. And I really love their luxurious Giza cotton sheets and pillowcases. So go to 800-481-0201. That's the number you can call. Or you can go to MyPillow.com. Type Amy in that promo code for 30% off everything in the store. MyPillow.com.
A storm is on the horizon, and you need to keep the lights on no matter what. Your business relies on the power being on 24/7. It's the lifeblood of your data and computer systems. Weather-related outages from the power company are not acceptable. Your need for a source of power that's reliable 24/7, along with round-the-clock service that can dispatch technicians to your site immediately, is mission critical. Your business needs Charles Equipment Energy Systems on speed dial. These are the big boys, not residential or solar, but reliable industrial generators for emergency backup or events. When you need more than a 100-foot extension cord plugged into a small engine generator, call Charles Equipment Energy Systems. They keep the lights on with rental generators for job sites or power outages. The storm season is here. Plan ahead. Call now to to prepare generators for sudden damage and potential power outages. Call 630-834-6000. That's 630-834-6000 or charlesequipment.com. charlesequipment.com.
This is Dan Proft with 60 Seconds of Sanity for Upstream-Ideas.com. Chesterton observed that he who has gotten used to unreason is ready for unkindness. The left's big bet is a majority of Americans are not only ready for unkindness, they demand it. The more brutal, the better, as the horde feeds on frenzy, not reflection. This is on full display as the left sets aside any semblance of reason, concern for evidence, or respect for due process in pursuit of turning Brett Kavanaugh from Opie into Chucky in the public's mind. Unreason, Connecticut Senator Dick Missing in Action Blumenthal contends that confirming Kavanaugh would be an irreparable stain on SCOTUS from which it could not recover. Not Dred Scott, not Korematsu v. U.S., Brett Kavanaugh. Unkindness? Hawaii Senator Mazie Hirano says all the men of America should shut up and do the right thing for once. To be fair, Mazie didn't really mean all the men of America, just the white Christian men not of the left, as her colleagues made clear. This is not simply a matter of overzealous Me Too minders, as their lack of interest in Keith Ellison's case illustrates. This is the prosecution of a culture war by aspiring autocrats who deify themselves and vilify non-believers. They will create heaven on earth no matter how many political, professional, or actual graveyards they have to dig.
The following is a paid political announcement.
Makers and doers, have you heard of the Technology and Manufacturing Association? TMA represents nearly 1,000 manufacturers and over 30,000 manufacturing employees in the Chicagoland region. Headquartered in Schaumburg, TMA is a comprehensive resource for Midwest manufacturers looking to improve operations, strengthen their workforce, and grow their business. We strengthen our members by providing business support services, events, networking opportunities, and government advocacy. TMA is also a leader in training and education, helping our manufacturers develop the talent they need to grow and thrive. At our Schaumburg Training Center, our industry-leading instructors are providing hands-on training to prepare the next generation of makers. The TMA Education Foundation has donated over $1.5 million to area schools, providing young people with exposure to today's high-tech and high-paying manufacturing jobs. As a leading voice in an evolving industry, TMA cultivates and strengthens our members. Consider joining our member-driven association as we support each other. Learn more at tmaillinois.org.
If you're in the market for a new vehicle, then now's the time to get one. With the 2019s arriving, you'll find the lowest prices of the year on all our great new 2018s and certified pre-owned Ford models. Get $3,000 off Escapes and Edges and $3,500 off Explorers or 0% for 60 months. $2,000 off Fusion or 0% for 72 months and $4,000 off Focus or 0% for 60 months. And on select F-150s, get $2,500 off plus 0.9% for 60 months. Come in and see why we're Chicagoland's best Ford buying experience. We've been treating people like family for over 44 years. And for the 5th year running, we're again your favorite Ford dealer. Find out about all the exclusives that make a Ford from Joe Cotton Ford a better value. It's our promise to you. We'll treat you great and save you money. From 3 generations of our family to yours, you have our word on it. At Gary and North Avenue in Carroll Stream or at joecottonford.com. Through October 1st, all prices plus tax, title, license, and dock fees with approved credit. See dealer for details.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy and...
Come on, tell everybody your nickname.
No, I'm not telling it. We're discussing how lunchroom gossip has consumed a confirmation hearing for the Supreme Court of the United States. Let's get a couple calls in. Ken in Lombard, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Morning, Amy, Dan. Hey, just this rumor that you have of who it, what the nickname is. I know you can't say it, but is there some place you can, like, let's say Facebook or YouTube or something?
Well, it starts with.
You don't have to tell me, Dan.
All right, her last name was Blazy in high school. I'm just saying.
Okay.
I'm giving them a little.
Thanks for the call, Ken.
Little creative room there.
Yeah, come on. My point was not to encourage speculation. My point is to say, you want to do this, Mazie Hirano, the environment at Georgetown Prep with partying and whatnot, and kissing behind the bleachers. Then is everybody fair game for reckless gossip and silliness? High school silliness.
I know, but they keep calling it sexual, alleged sexual assault. No, it's not. It's not that. Just say sexual misconduct or alleged sexual misconduct. I'm sick of the word assault.
Bill in the north suburbs.
Good morning. Trump should invite Feinstein and Schumer and Kavanaugh to the White House and let the idiots know that if Kavanaugh is not put on the bench while he's wearing his Terminex outfit, he's going to replace Sessions and run all the cockroaches out of
The cockroaches. All right. Thanks for the call, Bill. Appreciate it. Greg in Schaumburg.
Hey, Dan, I'll be back to you in a second with a question. But first of all, to Amy. Amy, you're our all-American, albeit Swedish woman. And if your indignation is any indication of the status of American women this morning, we are so proud of you. Thank you very much. Dan, is there no legal or legislative protection for any of our political candidates if they stick their neck out and decide to serve us?
Well, yeah. I mean, thanks for the call, Greg. I mean, look, the standard for, say, a defamation claim is very high for a public figure. But you can't accuse somebody of a felony without substantiation. So, for example, so if you knowingly and willfully lie about somebody such that it damages their reputation, even a public figure, like, for example, accusing them of committing a felony they haven't committed, and you know it's not true, then there's potential recourse. So, I mean, would it go there? I don't know. I mean, if I was Kavanaugh, I'd be certainly weighing my options as I'm chomping at the bit to testify, which is where he seems to be right now.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
It is Deputy AG Rod Rosenstein a funny guy or a little weasel? We'll ask NRO's Andy McCarthy at 6:06.
But first, let's go into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
Multiple shootings over the weekend being investigated by Chicago police. 2 cases of Legionnaire's disease have cropped up in the city of Chicago. The Bears rally to beat the Cardinals, while the Cubs fold the White Sox and take the series, and the Bulls tackle the media today. Sunshine will give way to clouds. We'll tap out at 74 with rain showers developing late in the day. WIND, Chicago News Time, 6 o'clock.
3 days before Brett Kavanaugh's accuser testifies, another comes forward. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, and her allegation dates back to the Supreme Court nominee's days in college. Fox's Rachel Sutherland, live in Washington.
Dave, Deborah Ramirez told The New Yorker that when she was a classmate with Judge Kavanaugh at Yale, he exposed himself to her during a drunken dorm party. Ramirez says she doesn't fully remember the alleged incident because she'd been drinking. Judge Kavanaugh calls the allegation a smear, plain and simple. Meanwhile, Michael Avenatti, who represents adult film star Stormy Daniels, claims he has knowledge that Kavanaugh and high school friend Mark Judge plied women with alcohol and drugs to take advantage of them at multiple house parties in the 1980s and plans to release evidence in the coming days. Dave.
Now, Rachel, on Thursday, Christine Blasey Ford will tell senators her story, claiming Kavanaugh groped and tried to sexually assault her as teenagers 36 years ago. And President Trump, who defends Kavanaugh's character, says,
let her have her voice. Let her say whatever she has to say.
But the top Democrat on the Judiciary Committee, Dianne Feinstein, wants that hearing postponed to investigate the Yale allegation. The president was on Geraldo Rivera's radio show on WTAM. Said he's looking into the report. Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein wanted to record the president, perhaps try to remove him from office, which Rosenstein denies.
It is certainly a very sad story when you see it.
The search continues in Selma, Alabama, for whoever shot a police officer in his car with a rifle. That officer was wearing a bulletproof vest. He drove off and crashed his car, but is expected to be okay.
These officers put their lives on the line every day. You hate for this to happen. You want them to go home to their family just like everybody else.
Dallas County DA Michael Jackson. 2 other officers were also shot, expected to survive. One in Baltimore was hit in a shootout that left the gunman dead. The cop in Boston got a bullet in the leg. That shooter's in custody. Bill Cosby returns to court today for a sentencing hearing 5 months after being convicted of sexual assault in the only criminal case out of the dozens of allegations against Cosby. Fox News. Fair and balanced.
58 degrees in Chicago. Skies are fair and a brilliant fall moon in the sky at 6:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. A school bus driver in Indiana this morning is under arrest after allegedly letting students take the wheel. The 27-year-old bus driver was arrested last Friday and this morning faces a felony charge of neglect of a dependent. Multiple shootings being investigated in Chicago since Friday evening. 1 person killed, 24 others wounded. Friday evening alone saw 8 shot on Chicago's streets between 5 p.m. and midnight. Defense attorneys in Chicago police officer Jason Van Dyke's murder trial are expected to start calling witnesses, and the big question is whether Van Dyke will testify. Van Dyke is not obligated to testify, but he has the right to take the stand to give his version of what happened October 20th of 2014. An investigation is underway into 2 cases of Legionnaire's disease. Chicago Department of Public Health says the only commonality between the 2 cases is a downtown hotel that the patient stayed at. Water at the Embassy Suites in the River North neighborhood is being sampled. Chicago sports, Bears turn a 14-0 first quarter deficit into a 16-14 win over the Cardinals in the desert. Cody Parkey kicked the go-ahead field goal with 4:31 left in the fourth quarter. Bear cornerback Sherrod McManus, who had an INT on the difference between the first and the second half.
I think we were our mindset, you know what I mean? I'm not saying we came in with a bad mindset, but second half we knew what we had to do. You know, we had to pick it up. We were down, so we were very resilient, man, as a team, special teams, defense, and offense.
Jordan Howard scored from 1 yard out for Chicago's lone touchdown. Cubs rack up 3 runs in the first inning, and they went on to fold the White Sox 6-1 at Guaranteed Rate Field. Cubs take the rubber match of that 3-game series. Bulls hold media today, and training camp gets underway. Blackhawks will finish up the NHL preseason this week with 3 games at home. The news service of Unbound.org. Right now, young people across the world face a tough choice. Continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at Unbound.org. 6:04 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Sean Hannity explains how important energy production is to the United States.
Don't think now that it's an accident that America is the biggest producer of oil now in the entire world. But this has always been the key to American foreign policy success. Why do you think all these years, why have I always pushed energy independence?
The Sean Hannity Show. Afternoons at 2, right before Joe Walsh at 5 on AM 560. The Answer.
Noted author, former chief medical correspondent, and Salonpas user Dr. Bob Arnott.
The human body has billions of pain receptors. Block those receptors with the anesthetics found in Salonpas Lidocaine Plus, and you'll have relief. Salonpas Lidocaine Plus contains 2 anesthetics, including the maximum strength lidocaine available without a prescription. They numb aggravated nerves for effective, lasting relief. For relief, try what I use, Salonpas Lidocaine Plus.
In the silver box with the blue wave.
How can a fully stocked restroom improve your image? How can serviced fire extinguishers or first aid cabinet make your employees more prepared? How can comfortable work apparel make your business more productive? For over 1 million customers, the answer is simple. Cintas. Cintas delivers everything you need to open your doors with confidence. Because helping keep businesses well-equipped, clean, and looking their best, that's our business.
Oh, I'm ready!
Get Cintas and get ready for the workday.
The following is a paid political announcement.
Do you believe Springfield works for us? Sean Thompson from Elmwood Park doesn't.
Nobody represents me, and nobody represents you. They represent themselves.
Ann Peterson from West Chicago isn't getting her money's worth out of Springfield.
I don't believe that we're getting additional value for the additional taxes that we're paying.
Your property taxes go up, your home value goes down. Politicians waste your money. The government takes your home. Rich, poor, Republican, Democrat, we're all the same when it comes to property taxes. Gino Fioravanti of River Forest is leaving Illinois because of high taxes.
We're not going to be living in Illinois anymore, and it's due to the property taxes. They've just gotten out of control.
It's bipartisan failure.
You either force politicians who oppose property tax caps out of office, or they force you out of Illinois. A group of independent property tax reform candidates are running to save your home. Go to SaveYourHomeNow.org to take up their fight just as they have taken up yours. You stay. The politicians go, because they're the ones who suck. SaveYourHomeNow.org.
Liberty Principles paid for this ad and is solely responsible for its content, not authorized by any candidate or candidate committee.
Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice. Continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at Unbound.org.
6:07 and a check on the roads in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. In for Jim, here's Dominic Fertini.
Not looking too bad across the Chicago area early this Monday morning. We are seeing a bit of an uptick in traffic volume. You got some road work on the inbound side of the Kennedy, slowing down traffic from the O'Hare extension into Cumberland. 22 minutes from O'Hare to downtown, 10 from the junction, 8 in the inbound express. Alpena is also between Cumberland and the O'Hare Extension. Inbound side of the Eisenhower, 32 in from Thorndale, 19 in from Mannheim. Delays start to pick up some steam near 25th. The inbound Stevenson, 36 in from 355, 26 in from the Tri-State. Brake lights coming on at Pulaski, then again at Ashland. Inbound Ryan, already 21 minutes, 95th in the downtown. We've got some hangups on the inbound side of the Bishop Ford, slowing at Sibley, but traffic getting much heavier near 115th into King Drive. That's traffic. I'm Dominic Fortini from the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center on AM 560. The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast. From the 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning Weather Center, here's meteorologist Kevin Snyder.
Some sun to start the day, then clouds will increase with a high today 74. Tonight turning out to be mainly cloudy. Just a passing shower with a low tonight of 63. Occasional rain and a thunderstorm tomorrow, high 80. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
58 at O'Hare, next news 6:30, and Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by On Target Radio. From firearms and Second Amendment rights to personal freedoms and government intrusions. Listen here Sunday nights at 9.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. And amidst all of the Kavanaugh swirl, this story that broke on Friday. New York Times report that Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein, remember, he's the guy overseeing, quote unquote, overseeing the Mueller special counsel investigation, that Rosenstein joked, talked about secretly recording President Trump for the purposes of getting information that would allow, him and the political leadership of the country to invoke the Constitution's 25th Amendment and remove him from office, suggesting that he does not have the capacity to be president of the United States.
Yeah, it was either having Mueller or somebody in Trump's cabinet secretly record him. And President Trump didn't take to it too kindly.
They're all gone. They're all gone. They're all gone. But there's a lingering stench, and we're going to get rid of that, too.
Yeah, they're all gone. He's talking about the bad actors at FBI and the leadership. This was at a rally in Missouri. The lingering stench, he may or may not be talking about Rosenstein. Maybe after the story, yes. So the New York Times reports that he wanted to do this, Rosenstein. Then there's a report that, no, it was a joke, according to Justice Department officials requesting anonymity who spoke to NBC News. He's kidding around because if you know Rod Rosenstein, you know he is a cut-up. Guy is a riot.
I mean, was he at a party or something and said, hey, wouldn't it be funny if one of us wore a wire and got the president if he's acting erratic, then we can invoke the 25th Amendment?
Lisa Page, the paramour of one disgraced former FBI agent, Peter Strzok.
Former lover.
According to Daily Beast, two sources told the Daily Beast that FBI lawyer Lisa Page was present for Rosenstein's comments on secret recordings and did not believe he was joking or being sarcastic.
Oh.
So what are we to believe? By the way, of course, Rosenstein has denied the New York Times report, saying it is factually inaccurate. What are we to believe on this matter, and how much more can our confidence be shaken with respect to the chief law enforcement agencies of this country, FBI and DOJ? For more on this, we're pleased to be joined again by our friend Andy McCarthy, former chief assistant U.S. attorney in Manhattan, contributing editor at National Review, nationalreview.com. Andy has written about this latest controversy. Andy, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
It's my pleasure.
So the question I posed was Rod Rosenstein, funny man, or weasel, or watch Donnie Brasco too many times? So what do we have here with Rosenstein?
Well, I've never thought cut up and weasel were necessarily mutually exclusive, but
Sure.
I've also not quite found Rod Rosenstein to be Rod Dangerfield, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So,
although he does get no respect.
Yeah, well, he shouldn't, because what happened here is you have a guy who I don't think the Trump administration vetted very carefully, but there's a reason why at a time when it was very difficult to get Trump's nominees for top executive branch officials through the Senate, that Rosenstein was confirmed by 94-6 with overwhelming Democratic Party support. And what very simply happened here is he's not the swiftest guy in town, and he miscalculated. He thought that he was going to be roundly praised and applauded for the memorandum he wrote supporting Jim Comey's being dismissed as FBI director. And what he didn't factor in was that by the time that happened, the Democrats had moved on from being angry about Hillary Clinton losing the election to Trump derangement. And Comey had made himself very useful in that effort. And for that reason, they perceived Comey's firing as an opportunity to make an obstruction case against President Trump and to ratchet up their calls for special counsel. So much to Rosenstein's surprise, I believe, rather than being praised for his Comey memo, he was bitterly attacked and savaged over it. He had never in his life been anything but praised by, the denizens of the swamp. And everything he's done since then is quite understandable in the nature of trying to get himself back into the good graces of the people he so disappointed. And that's why he talked about removing Trump under the 25th Amendment. I don't think he was really serious about taking any concrete steps to do that, but I think he wanted to signal to everyone it was important to him to signal to that he was with them on the matter of Trump's fitness. It's why he talked about recording him, and it's why he appointed a special counsel without having a legal basis to do that.
Well, do you think it's possible Rosenstein leaked the story himself to the paper?
No, it looks to me like the Times has a lot of sources, and in particular, I think they're getting a lot of information from the Andy McCabe camp. It looks like a lot of this story, Amy, came out of these memoranda, I should say, that are written by top officials of the FBI, particularly McCabe. The Times is a little bit cagey about whether they've actually seen these memos or whether they're relying on the accounts of these memos from other witnesses who've seen them, but I think that's where most of the story comes from.
Is time for Rosenstein to go? The Wall Street Journal thinks no.
Look, I think it's we're seeing in connection with Kavanaugh, Dan, the dynamic here that you end up having to put up with a lot of nonsense that you wouldn't otherwise put up with, because the Republicans have a very, very thin margin in the Senate. I mean, it's 51-49, but it could be that they're effectively 3 seats down, or at least 1 seat down, because you've got a faction of Republicans who seem to blow one way or the other on every important issue. So it's not like Trump can just fire this guy and bring me the next deputy attorney general. It's very complicated to get somebody through.
That's right. But I mean, here's the thing. If I was Trump, I'd go to them if there was any holdouts here with Rosenstein. Just like with Brennan, with Mueller, you've seen Gowdy and Graham, move significantly in Trump's direction based on the performance of Mueller and the FBI and the DOJ and Rosenstein. Say, what exactly does it take? What is it that would satisfy you to say this guy has to go? He's a cancer on the Department of Justice, or he's a cancer at the FBI, and we have to cut him out. I mean, this is utter silliness. What is the point of having a Republican majority? Should we just cede the majority and get back to the minority where we can actually do stuff and we'll support the president in doing stuff that should be done? I mean, what's the point of having this fragile majority if you won't act with it?
Well, first of all, it's only a majority if it's a working majority that you can actually act with.
Well, I
and
understand.
I'm as frustrated as you are by that. And I don't think anybody has written more about Rosenstein than I have from the beginning, including when a lot of people were of a mind to sort of let's give this poor guy a break and a chance. If it was up to me, he'd have been fired. Well, he wouldn't have been appointed in the first place, but he'd have been gone long ago.
Well, but that's my point.
And I think look, if you want to implement a plan where Trump takes somebody who has a prayer of actually getting through, like Trump decides I'm firing in one fell swoop Sessions and Rosenstein, and I'm appointing Lindsey Graham, who I think is Lindsey is somebody who I agree with on a lot of things. I disagree with a lot of things, but you have to say no matter what you think of him, he seems to be loyal to Trump. He seems to know what he's talking about in terms of what the important issues are that come before the Judiciary Committee and are in front of the Department of Justice, and he could conceivably get confirmed.
Yeah.
But unless you're going to do something like that, if he takes these guys out, he's got no chance of getting another person through to run the Justice Department. And we're now talking about, we're just a few weeks before the midterms. Nothing is going to happen in the way of getting these guys replaced till February or March, and even that will hinge on how the midterms turn out.
Yeah, I mean that's a long time to endure this kind of undermining that's apparently going on. I mean, I would think you could go to the Flakes of the world and say, look, you may not like me, but if you were in my position, what would you do with Rod Rosenstein? He's overseeing the special counsel investigation while he was previously actively trying to set me up. I mean, if it was President Flake, how would you react to that? How would you deal with that with respect to number 2 at Justice? I mean, come on.
Dan, that's how you see it, and that's how I see it. But it's not how these swamp denizens see it. They think that Mueller's great. They think that Rosenstein's great. They think that they're long-time, apolitical, nonpartisan, trustworthy bureaucrats who are just, they're just doing the best they can to do their job. And if it turns out that they sic the special counsel on the President of the United States and put the governance of this country under a cloud of criminal suspicion under circumstances where there was no underlying criminal offense, well, that's just the way it goes, because these are honest, trustworthy technocrats who are just trying to do the right thing by the country.
Well, that's sort of Mark Penn's piece in The Hill, too, the Rosenstein dilemma and his take on it, where he essentially says sort of what you're saying, damned if you do, damned if you don't. But he also suggests that the deep state is unraveling before our very eyes. Do you see the deep state, such as it is, and even forgetting that phraseology, just FBI and DOJ and the senior hyper-politicalized leadership of those agencies unraveling, or are they kind of circling the wagons, closing ranks, and more likely than not to survive?
Dan, when I'll believe that that's happening? When I see that Trump submits a budget to the Congress that says on the line for the Department of Justice, if it says something like $4 million instead of $28 million, then billion, I should say, not million.
Right.
Then I'll start believing it. All this business about the personnel, we're talking about the wrong end of the equation. If you decide that the Justice Department is doing more harm than good, and believe me, it gives me no joy to say this. I'm very proud of having worked in the Justice Department for a lot of my adult life, for 25 years. But if you get to the point where you think that this is an organization that instead of enforcing the laws of the United States is weaponizing them for political purposes, you need to strike their budget out. Forget about, Rosenstein and Sessions and all the rest of this. They are capable of being weaponized because they have lavish, nearly $30 billion budgets. And if you want to get them where they live, you got to take their money away.
Well, that's a good point. He is Andy McCarthy, former Chief Assistant U.S. Attorney in Manhattan, also now a contributing editor at National Review, nationalreview.com. You can always get his musings on Rosenstein and Kavanaugh and the Mueller investigation and everything else swirling in the swamp. Andy, thanks as always for joining us. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. Have a great week.
You too.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Have you checked your Google search results lately? Search results are usually the first impression that people form of you or your business. So make sure that they create a positive impression with ReputationDefender.com. What the internet says about you can have a big impact on your life and your livelihood, even if it's not true. Fortunately, you can now control how you look online and in online search results with ReputationDefender.com. Call 800-694-2640 now. That's 800-694-2640 for your free reputation analysis. If you have negative material from an ex-employee, upset patient, or former client, newspaper article, legal issue, social media, or other source showing up in your search results, you can combat it with ReputationDefender.com. Our dedicated experts in patented technology can help make your online search results look their best. Call 800-694-2640 to learn more. 800-694-2640. That's 800-694-2640. Or visit ReputationDefender.com.
The following is a paid political announcement.
In campaign ad after campaign ad, Joe Donnelly's driving his RV all over the place. But while he's out driving around, who's working for us? When he went to Washington, Donnelly promised to fight for Indiana seniors, saying,
I want to make sure that the voices of Hoosier seniors are heard.
But in Washington, it seems Donnelly skipped nearly 1/3 of his Senate Aging Committee hearings. How can the voices of Hoosier seniors be heard if Donnelly won't even show up and listen? Donnelly even skipped hearings on serious issues like Medicare and protecting financial security for seniors. So, if you see Joe out in his RV, give him a wave and tell him to do his job. Because if Donnelly won't show up for us, maybe it's time for him to hit the road for good. We don't need no-show Joe in the Senate. Senate Leadership Fund paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. www.senateleadershipfund.org.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies in a capsule.
I thought I had a sinus headache for a few days, but I had a massive brain aneurysm, hemorrhage of the brain, and a stroke. And I was on my deathbed. I was on a respirator in a coma for 35 days. And 3 months later, I came home in a wheelchair. I had double vision. I had to learn to walk again, to speak again. 1 and 1 is 2, write the alphabet. You know, if I went out and did a little something, I'd come home, I'd be in bed. Now, I'm up by like 5:30 in the morning, and I go to the gym. I do shopping. I cook. I have energy all day. I mean, I feel great. Overall, my whole outlook, just feeling, my mental aspect, everything is better.
For a limited time, use discount code CHICAGO to receive a 50% discount on your first preferred whole health system and have it shipped to you free. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go online to balanceofnature.com. Again, use discount code CHICAGO.
Are your credit cards maxed out? Do you owe more than $10,000? Are you juggling your bills, only making minimum payments? Credit card companies are playing a dirty trick on you. They want you to think you must pay it all back, and that's simply not true. Credit card companies hate it when we expose their secrets. In fact, there are ways you can become debt-free and you don't have to pay the entire amount you owe. National Debt Relief offers programs that help you escape overwhelming credit card debt. National Debt Relief has helped tens of thousands of people just like you reduce more than $1 billion of debt. National Debt Relief has earned an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. They're also the #1 rated debt relief program by Top Consumer Reviews and Top 10 Reviews. Don't declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan. Settle your debt for a mere fraction of what you owe. Call National Debt Relief now at 800-645-1660. 800-645-1660. 800-645-1660.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, rumors circulating that Jeff Flake has announced he's going to vote present on Kavanaugh, meaning they couldn't lose another Republican senator. Jeff Flake tweeting out, your sources are not correct. I will not be voting present. So he's still very much in play. And remember, after Grassley provided Monday, today, as an opportunity for Miss Blasey Ford to testify, Flake said, well, okay, she either shows up or she doesn't. If she doesn't show up, then we move on, and we move to markup and move the process along. So I'm jumpy about Jeff Flake like everybody else, as well as Collins and Murkowski.
Yeah,
but don't suggest that they're off the reservation quite yet, and now this is going to Thursday.
Well, on Friday when President Trump, who was doing so well, I was so proud of him. He was measured, didn't let any of this get under his skin. But on Friday, he tweeted out, "I have no doubt that if the attack on Dr. Ford was as bad as she says, charges would have been immediately filed with local law enforcement authorities by either her or her loving parents. I ask that she brings those filings forward so that we can learn date, time, and place!" Exclamation point. And Susan Collins, that did not sit well with her.
I was appalled by the president's tweet. We know that allegations of sexual assault are one of the most unreported crimes that exist.
Yeah, that's fine.
He didn't try to rape her. Stop saying sexual assault.
All of the pro forma statements notwithstanding, to the crux of it, her demands, for example, her demands that Brett Kavanaugh testify first so he wouldn't get a response to the allegations.
And the demands of one camera. I mean, it's so ridiculous.
Here's Dershowitz on that, on the due process piece of it.
She makes the accusations impossible. That is the most absurd, anti-due process, anti-American concept. You testify without having been formally accused under oath. Obviously, she has to testify. She has to be cross-examined, preferably by good lawyers who can ask probing questions. Then he has to get up and respond and be cross-examined with probing questions. And I do agree with her that they ought to bring in any possible witness, a judge or anybody else, subpoena them if they won't testify voluntarily, and let the FBI continue its background check. That's what it does. But now we have people, Rachel Maddow, some of my colleagues, saying he ought to be criminally prosecuted and go to jail. And even if he's confirmed, there ought to be a criminal investigation and he ought to be impeached.
So there's that. And then the other issue that, one of the many other issues that bubbled up over the weekend, DiFi refusing to provide an unredacted copy of Blasey Ford's letter to Chuck Grassley, the chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee, or anybody else. Dershowitz responding to that.
There's no reason why it shouldn't be released. She's coming forward. She produced her name to the Washington Post. You can't, on the one hand, make the most serious accusation that anybody can be accused of, and on the other hand say, no, but I have privacy. I'm going to tell you part of the truth, but not the whole truth. That's unacceptable.
Yeah, it's unacceptable, and what's unacceptable continues to be accepted.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer,
Shelby Steele explains to us why the left is so consumed with hate at 6:36.
And no matter how awkward your Thanksgiving may be, it won't be as odd as Congressman Paul Gosar's out of Arizona will explain. But first, let's get into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
59 degrees this morning. A new allegation of sexual misconduct against Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh comes from the New Yorker and reports a woman claims Kavanaugh exposed himself in front of her at a party when he was a freshman at Yale. Jane Mayer co-authored the story with Ronan Farrow and tells MSNBC it wasn't the woman's idea to go public.
She didn't step forward. This is the thing. We called her. We heard her name. This is a story. She did not ask for this. She felt once asked, she had to try to search her memory to really remember and say whether there was something here.
Deborah Ramirez says the incident happened at a drunken dorm room party. Senator David Perdue says the only people now left to determine whether the Supreme Court nominee or his accuser is telling the truth is 100 U.S. senators.
I hope that we will get to the truth, and I think that's what the American people deserve, and that's what we're trying to do this week.
Kavanaugh saying in a statement that the latest accusation did not happen at all, called the allegation a smear, plain and simple. Bill Cosby may not be a free man much longer. The comedian's sentencing hearing begins today in a Philadelphia suburb. Cosby was found guilty in April of drugging and sexually assaulting former Temple University athletic staffer Andrea Constand at his home in 2004. South Carolina emergency officials are telling thousands in and around the city of Georgetown to get out before floodwaters sweep over the area. As many as 8,000 in the community midway between Charleston and Myrtle Beach could be in serious danger. Multiple shootings investigated here in Chicago since Friday evening. Friday alone saw 8 shot between Friday 5 p.m. and midnight. The fatal shooting Saturday night when a bicyclist was shot in the shoulder. Gregory Brown later died at Stroger Hospital. A northern Illinois woman could be looking at 20 years in prison for sending police to a Boone County school with a fake threat about a gunman. Police in Belvedere arrested 20-year-old Sabrina Andrews for calling in a threat to Belvedere South Middle School. That threat prompted an evacuation. Bears turn a 14-0 first quarter deficit into a 16-14 win over the Cardinals in the desert. Cubs rack up 3 runs in the first. They fold up the White Sox 6-1 at the rate. Kyle Schwarber homered and doubled. Bulls holding media day, and they kick off training camp this week, while the Blackhawks finish out the NHL preseason with 3 home games. The news service of UPSjobs.com. What is the future you doing right now? You could be working for UPS as a part-time package handler, now hiring in Hodgkins. Plus, receive tuition assistance from the UPS Earn and Learn program. Apply now at UPSjobs.com. 6:33 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Don't miss Freedom Summit 2018 on Saturday, October 27th. Presented by Geiger Wealth Management, Chicago's retirement planning experts. This year, featuring headline speakers, former Milwaukee County Sheriff David Clark and James O'Keefe from Project Veritas. Also appearing, AM 560's Mike Gallagher, Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, and Joe Walsh. Get your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by Automated Systems Incorporated and by healthinsurancementors.com.
Don't you love fall and sleeping with the windows open? But are you really sleeping as well as you could? The MyPillow buy one get one free offer is back for September. And if you haven't bought your MyPillow yet, here's your chance to get one for yourself, a loved one, or maybe as a gift. I love that I can move the fill to get the support I need regardless of my sleep position. I never wake up with a stiff neck or headache. MyPillow is made in America, washable, dryable, hypoallergenic, and has a 10-year warranty plus that 60-day full money-back guarantee. So go online or call now for this great buy one, get one free deal on premium MyPillows. You can also get 30% off everything else, including the MyPillow mattress toppers, pet beds that my dog Bunky loves, luxury Giza cotton sheets, and more. Call 800-489-0201, use the promo code Amy, or visit mypillow.com. That's 800-489-0201, promo code Amy.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Do you know your bank's fraud tolerance? I'm Ann Dollagall, Treasury Management Executive. At Signature Bank, we have 0 tolerance. While some of the big banks may write off smaller incidences of fraud, we use a multi-layered approach to fight fraud before it happens to our customers. There's been a record number of businesses hit with payments fraud this year. Keeping your business assets safe is our top priority. We are trained, and we will train you to recognize potential wire fraud threats and business email compromise scams. Call us today to find out how Signature Bank can work with your business to fight fraud.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Check out the newest podcast from the Associated Press, Ground Game, hosted by AP's Megan Crane. A weekly conversation about top political issues ahead of the upcoming midterm elections. Available on Apple Podcasts.
It is 6:36. Let's get a check on the roads in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. In for Jim, here's Dominic.
Getting busier this morning across the Chicago area. Already picking up some steam on the inbound Edens. 27 minutes Lee Cook to the junction. Inbound Kennedy on the brakes off the O'Hare extension. Then near Kimball. 31 in from O'Hare. 15 in from the junction. 12 in the inbound express lanes. Outbound LA, stack up traffic. Division through Addison. Then again at Central. 24 minutes downtown to Montrose. 47 out to O'Hare. Inbound Ike on the brakes. Wolf to Harlem. 44 in from Thorndale. Outbound side a little bit slow. Austin through Des Plaines. Stevenson in hung up at Harlem. Outbound delays Pulaski to Cicero, 35 minutes. Lakeshore to 355. Inbound Ryan, 24 minutes, 95th into downtown. On the inbound Bishop Ford, traffic slowing at 130th. Northbound Lakeshore Drive, busy from the Stevenson through Monroe. Northbound Tri-State, a bit slow between 88 and Lawrence. That's traffic. I'm Dominic Fortini from the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center on AM 560. The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the 1-hour heating and air conditioning weather center. Sunshine this morning gives way to afternoon clouds and maybe a passing shower by evening, high 74. Currently 58. Next news coming up at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Papa Nicholas Coffee. Papa Nicholas. Great coffee, period.
Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Do you see the left as just zealous Me Too minders, or are they a bit selective for the purposes of their political agenda? And, of course, you have the useful contrast of the reaction to the two accusers of Brett Kavanaugh and how their claim should be treated versus the two accusers of Congressman and Deputy DNC Director, or Deputy DNC Chairman, Keith Ellison, who's the Democrat nominee for Attorney General in Minnesota, how they're reacting to Keith Ellison and those women, including, by the way, according to the women, his ex-girlfriend, Karen Monahan, saying she's essentially been abandoned by her party. This ratcheted up last week, the Ellison case, because there was a candidate forum for the candidates for Attorney General, at which Keith Ellison addressed the charges, the allegations, I shouldn't say charges, the allegations against him.
That was a case in 2005 when she was harassing me and my staff. I got an order for protection to have her not do that anymore. The judge awarded that in 2006 when I was running for Congress. She filed a claim. It was denied by the judge for order of protection. And then we went to a hearing, and the judge said she was ordered to stop making the falsehoods against me and to not contact me at all. So this is not multiple cases. Now let's talk about the current one that we're dealing with now.
Ms. Monahan.
You know, look, we were in a long-term relationship. It ended 2 years ago. 2 days before the primary, she made these allegations. They're not true. I've said that they're not true. I've answered questions and gone on Esme Murphy and others to make these points clear. There is an ongoing investigation, which we hope will conclude.
Will that be done before the election?
I don't know. It's an independent investigation, so I don't know.
It's not an independent investigation. It's independent by your friends and fellow party members.
No, it's an independent investigation.
That's not an independent investigation.
But,
But you know, it's a good thing that the
Ms.
voters will have the
Monahan,
opportunity
Ms.
to
Monahan
render
on
their
social
verdict
media
with ballot
says,
box.
Ms. Monahan said yesterday on social media that she offered to meet with Keith and the investigator at the same time, and you declined. Is that true?
Well, because we broke up 2 years ago for a reason. I don't want to be in the relationship, and therefore I left the relationship. And so to get back in touch with her again is not something that I'm interested in doing. I've met somebody new, and I'm trying to pursue my life and move on.
I bet to hear that
You know what, though?
Bumble's working out for you there, Keith.
That's the perfect answer, though. He was very calm and, again, measured and believable. I mean, because he doesn't want to be in the same room with her because he's moved on and he doesn't want to give her any false hope.
And just the backdrop again here, the two incidents 10 years apart, the allegations. This started most recently, Karen Monahan's son posted on social media about Keith Ellison abusing his mom. She backed up her son. She said there was video that existed showing Keith Ellison abusing her, throwing her on a bed and such.
Yeah, but she didn't want to air it give it to CBS because she didn't want that out there.
And then the video doesn't exist or somehow got lost. So there is no video. There's just the allegations back and forth. She supplemented her allegations with a medical report. This happened last week. But all that medical report really was her telling a medical professional what happened to her and the medical professional transcribing what she said. So that's
There's
not
no
really
physical
corroborating
evidence or marks
right.
or bruises. It was just the emotional impact the relationship had on her, which is kind of goofy, but okay.
But I mean, do you and by the way, one of the differences, 87 women haven't come forward to have a press conference on behalf of Keith Ellison to talk about what a wonderful guy he is and to back up that this is a man of principle and decency and kindness who respects women. That has happened for Brett Kavanaugh. That has not happened for Keith Ellison. But I mean, just in terms of the four corners of the allegations, how do you process the two?
I don't think there's a double standard here. I mean, with Keith Ellison, he defended himself well, and they even asked him, "Hey, could more accusers come forward?"
Are you confident that no one else will step forward with any other allegations?
Look, in this political environment, I don't know what somebody might cook up, but I can tell you that there is absolutely nobody that I'm aware of who has any sort of, who's threatening or suggesting or has ever made a prior accusation.
Did you hear what he said? Cooked up something, which is happening right now with this second Kavanaugh accuser, I believe.
This Deborah Ramirez. I mean, but the underlying, I don't know if Deborah Ramirez is telling the truth or not, but in terms of Keith Ellison's point, how would the left respond to the idea that this political environment induces people to cook up stories? So it's only with respect to Keith Ellison. It couldn't be with respect to President Trump's nominee for the Supreme Court. Very interesting statement. When Keith Ellison is the target of allegations he says are false, we are in a political environment in which people can cook up stories that are untrue because he is an easy target to take him out. Well, and the same couldn't be said of Judge Kavanaugh. I would have loved to get Keith Ellison's response to that. Now, Miss Monahan, Karen Monahan, his ex-girlfriend and accuser,
scorned lover,
she spoke to the CBS affiliate in Minneapolis about this.
He met with me at a coffee shop closer to my place that evening before he ran for AG. The conversation went straight to, hey, I noticed that you've been tweeting a lot, and about, abuse and the Me Too and, over months talking about, your own personal, talking about, your own same personal stuff about, you. And, I'm just wondering, are you going to keep tweeting about this? He goes, I don't want to have to look over my shoulder all the time wondering when you're going to tweet something and, say it's me.
This is what Keith Ellison is saying to you.
Yes. At this point in time, I'm grounded and I know who I am. I have healed for a year and a half. I looked straight at him. I said, I never ruined your career. I didn't choose to do the things you did. I didn't choose for you to drag me off the bed, call me a tell me you hate me. I didn't choose that.
Why speak out now?
I followed my gut. The gut that I kept trying to push down for a year and a half.
So is it okay to insinuate that women can make things up when it comes to Keith Ellison, but not anybody else? Or is it just the political persuasion of the accused that matters?
I think she's embellishing. I think she's a scorned lover, and I don't buy a word she's saying. Sorry.
Bruce in Bloomingdale, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
They treat our people like monsters, and we treat their monsters like people. There's no way to win at that game.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good way to put it. Very, very well said, Bruce. Mike on the north side.
Good morning. Thanks for taking my call. Drip, drip, drip.
Yep.
This is going to keep dripping out on everybody that Donald Trump nominates for anything from now on. And if he resigns or leaves office, they're going to do the same to anyone that Mike Pence nominates. This is their game plan. If we can't win at the ballot box, then we'll make stuff up. It's open season on white conservative males. They are perfect victims now. They're not going to defend themselves because they're not going to give credence to any of this BS, but it's okay. Everybody else is a victim. We have to make white conservative males victims too now. Dan, thank goodness you didn't become governor. This would be happening to you every day.
Thanks for the call, Mike. I mean, by the way, the left cannibalizing its own, too, which is always interesting to watch. The the editor of the New York Review of Books got ash canned for publishing an op-ed by somebody who was the target of credible accusations of abusing women. I mean, I'm not defending the guy who wrote the op-ed, but the idea that allowing that individual to offer a provocative op-ed, New York Times Review of Books, about the Me Too movement to, foster discussion, even visceral reaction, that's out of bounds. I mean, really? That's how you want to treat these problems and real-life predators? You want to silence discussion. I'm sorry, isn't that the whole problem with accusers not coming forward, as so say so many, that they've been silenced? So why would you want to silence anybody exactly? Let them have their say. Oftentimes, the predator, the guilty party, will indict themselves with their own words. Please see Harvey Weinstein. I mean, it's just, they're just so anti-intellectual, anti-reason, because they're filled with hate. By the way, somebody else not going to be nominated to the Supreme Court of the United States.
Oh. Addison
Russell.
Oh.
Cub shortstop. He is not going to make the cut. So even if Clarence
I don't know
Thomas
if he'll make
retires,
it for postseason play, Dan.
Even if Clarence Thomas retires next year, don't expect Addison Russell to be nominated by Trump. Now,
his ex-wife came forward again with some more allegations.
So this is another case been going on for a year. They get
Right.
divorced. He denied the allegations a year ago. He denies them again. She provided detail that she didn't provide a year ago prior to the divorce. His wife, Melissa Reedy Russell, right?
Yeah.
The first time I was physically mistreated by my spouse, I was in shock. I couldn't wrap my head around what just happened. Why did he get so angry? What did I do for him to want to put his hands on me? Of course, I forgave him, assumed it would never happen again. I just thought he had let his emotions get the best of him. He loves me and he's sorry. I was deeply hurt that he could even be capable of this behavior towards me. I couldn't understand how the man I was so in love with, the father of my child, the man I married just a few months ago, could show such aggression to me. Then she goes on to detail the emotional and verbal abuse that continued throughout the marriage.
She said it was an everyday thing.
Right. And
being blamed for just about anything that went wrong, name-calling, intimidating me with personal force, manipulating me.
And so that put Tom Ricketts and Theo Epstein front and center to explain that Addison Russell has been put on leave. MLB is investigating.
Well, yeah, because they have this new domestic violence policy. So really,
Right.
they had no choice. They had to
Right.
hand over the information, and now he's been benched. And I hope he can get into postseason play, because when you're going through a divorce, I mean, people make allegations against their spouses for a various number of reasons, whether it's monetary or if they want support or custody of the children. That's why I think there should be something, a different category if you're going through a divorce and these allegations are made. I say let him back on the field.
Addison Russell's sister was a bit less charitable, responding to his ex-wife. You're an evil biatch, plain and simple, toying with not only others' lives, but also your own son's future. Sweetheart, you're irrelevant.
Oh, that's awesome. And she's doing? She's messing with Cub fans and the organization. I'm sorry. It's all about winning from this point on.
Oh, yeah. No, I know. I mean, we're familiar with the Cubs and Aroldis Chapman.
Well, Aroldis Chapman he's gone.
Well, what do you know about Addison Russell? You don't know that this isn't true.
I'm just saying, I feel like we've seen this movie before. We did the same thing last year.
Well,
with her.
Well, okay, but now she's providing detail.
Okay. If he's talking to you in an unkindly manner, leave.
Forget Addison Russell will be lucky to be in a Major League Baseball uniform again in this culture. I mean, forget the Cubs in the playoffs. I'm talking about his career could be over at 24. The guy was supposed to be a potential MVP candidate. I don't know about that, but that's how he was marketed. Chris in Aurora, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
I know I'm going backwards a little bit here, but there's something that I think that you should comment on or answer. There's like an internet conspiracy that the reason why that they are trying to delay Kavanaugh's hearing for another week is that if they can get past this week, that his confirmation will virtually have to start over by Senate rules. Do you know anything about that, or can you remark anything about
Well, they're trying to get him confirmed so that he can be seated for the next Supreme Court term, which starts October 1. So that's the issue. But I mean, no, there's no, not that I'm familiar with. It would not have to start over. You're not. Well, you've got a. There are. I'm blanking on the exact protocols, but
the reason why I brought it up is
there's a time constraint.
Tucker Carlson did a report on this and was saying in regard that that's why that she's all of a sudden mysteriously can't fly in a plane, that she needs to drive all the way there. It's because they got to drag this as far as they can to get past this one deadline, and which would be the end of this week here. And then all of a sudden, it's in a situation of where, because of the Senate rules, his confirmation hearing was virtually over, and if there isn't a vote, then I'm assuming then you have to start over.
No, a vote doesn't have to take place this week. That's not true. I'll have to pull back. I don't remember, not being a member of the U.S. Senate, I don't remember all of the time requirements for markup, and then so much time for floor debate, and then the vote, and how long a confirmation proceeding can take place. But the idea that a vote has to happen this week or never is not true.
What is this driving thing that she has to drive from California to D.C.? She better get in her car. I'm telling you, this confirmation, I have a feeling this hearing is not going to happen.
It's like, where's Waldo? I mean, there was a Politico piece per Chris in Aurora suggesting Monday couldn't work because she didn't want to fly from California to D.C.
Too bad, Tootsie.
Yeah, Cannonball Run it.
What is her problem?
Get Burt Reynolds' Trans Am. He's not using it.
Yeah.
Oh,
you know what? Why you got to go there?
But then there's also reports that she's already on the East Coast. So who knows? I don't know.
I don't trust. She's so squirrely and cagey. I don't like her.
Joseph in Frankfurt.
Oh, morning, Dan. Amy, how are you today?
Good. How are you?
Oh, pretty good. My biggest concern with this is I'm like Amy. I'm a father of two teenage boys, and my bigger concern of this is that we've boiled things down to three options when a couple of teenagers go into a room. One is that they have consensual sex or something like sex. The other is rape, and the other is attempted rape. And the Congresswoman, I believe it was Congresswoman that you put on earlier, this is called attempted rape, and it's really kind of washing it down, don't you think?
Thanks for the call, Joseph. Mike in Crown Point.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. If I was the chairman of that committee, I would just say, listen, all of you on the Democratic side have stated your opinions that he's guilty. You obviously believe he's guilty. Let's just vote now. Why listen to testimony? It's not going to change the way you vote anyway.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Mike.
You're listening to Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
I'm Lou Dobbs. The president's new tariffs go into effect today. Utility customers in California may have to pay for wildfire losses, and Carolina farmers face huge losses. Those stories next.
On September 17, 1787, Congress signed the U.S. Constitution, which defined our government and guarantees our rights. While Constitution Day has passed, Patriot Mobile supports the conservative values members of Congress adopted in the U.S. Constitution, and the 1787 data plans offer has been a huge success, so we're extending it through the end of the month. Patriot celebrates the Founding Fathers and your values and is the only cell phone carrier that supports conservative causes while providing you the same nationwide reliable service with unlimited talk and text for less money and no hidden fees. Again, until the end of this month, all data plans are still $17.87 for your first month of service. Plus, they'll send you a free pocket Constitution. Make the switch today. Go to patriotmobile.com or call 1-800-A-PATRIOT. Unlimited talk, text, and data for your first month, only $17.87. Go to patriotmobile.com or 1-800-A-PATRIOT.
President Trump's latest tariffs kicking in. Starting today, the U.S. is charging an additional 10% tariff on $200 billion of Chinese exports to the United States. Beijing has said it would retaliate by imposing tariffs on U.S. goods, including coffee and honey. A new California law allows utilities to bill their customers for future legal settlements stemming from devastating 2017 wildfires. The bill, aimed at preventing bankruptcy for Pacific Gas and Electric Company, critics call it a mandatory consumer bailout. Farmers in the Carolinas could face billions of dollars in agricultural damage after Hurricane Florence. North Carolina officials called the damage catastrophic, unbelievable. Early estimates come this week. Please tune in to Lou Dobbs tonight, 7 and 10 Eastern on the Fox Business Network. This is the Lou Dobbs Financial Report.
Don't forget that you can watch Chicago's Morning Answer on the Income Store live video stream every morning at 560theanswer.com.
On AM 560 The Answer, we talk about the important issues that affect your world. Things like the economy, education, and foreign policy. There's always so much going on in the news that we don't always have the time to focus in and talk about the big ideas behind the important issues. Enter Upstream Ideas online at upstream-ideas.com. Upstream Ideas, in partnership with the Illinois Opportunity Project, provides the kind of information that informs the policy discussions happening here on AM 560. At Upstream Ideas, you'll broaden the debate, move beyond partisan assumptions, and challenge accepted beliefs. Upstream Ideas goes against the current and thinks upstream. Go online now at upstream-ideas.com. That's upstream-ideas.com. You'll be armed with new information and fresh perspectives to help encourage you to make the state of Illinois and the United States of America a bit freer, a bit more just, and a bit more civilized. Upstream-ideas.com.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies in a capsule.
I feel wonderful. I mean, a while ago, I was walking and my whole left side went tingly. And I don't know what happened. I've had the after effects of that in my hands and my legs. And I've noticed that since I've taken the fruits and veggies, I don't have that anymore. So that is one thing that I am very, very pleased with, is I don't feel any of that tingly sensation in my foot. It's like my nerves are getting healed or something. It's just wonderful. I love this. I'm very, very impressed with this product.
For a limited time, use discount code CHICAGO to receive a 50% discount on your first preferred whole health system and have it shipped to you free. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go online to balanceofnature.com. Again, use discount code CHICAGO.
Watch today's show live right now on the Income Store live video stream at 560theanswer.com.
It's news, opinion, insight. It's AM 560, The Answer. WIND, Chicago.
A call to postpone Thursday's Senate hearing featuring Brett Kavanaugh's accuser. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, because there's another accuser, prompting the top Democrat on the Judiciary Committee, Dianne Feinstein, to want to delay hearing Christine Blasey Ford's allegation against the Supreme Court nominee to investigate this new one. Fox's Rachel Sutherland live in Washington.
Dave, the new allegation against Judge Kavanaugh goes back to his days at Yale. A former classmate, Deborah Ramirez, told The New Yorker that Kavanaugh exposed himself to her at a drunken dorm party. Ramirez admits she'd been drinking and her memory of the alleged incident is hazy. Judge Kavanaugh denies the claim, saying people who knew him then know that this did not happen and have said so. At the same time, Stormy Daniels' attorney Michael Avenatti says he's going to present evidence that Kavanaugh and high school friend Mark Judge would routinely use alcohol and drugs to have their way with young women. Dave?
Rachel, the White House says Democrats are trying to bring a good man down, but President Trump says Ford should have her say, so should Kavanaugh.
The best student, no matter where he went, and honestly, the best character, unless she can prove otherwise, and we're going to give her chance to do that.
The president on Geraldo Rivera's show on WTAM also talked about the report the Deputy Attorney General denies that Rod Rosenstein wanted to record the president and try to get him out of office.
We will make a determination And I'm sure you're going to be very, very early on as to those that know.
The president's trade war escalates today with 10% tariffs going into effect with China on $200 billion more in Chinese imports. That goes up to 25% next year. China's retaliated, taxing $60 billion worth of American goods. There's a new flooding fear on the Carolina coast as swollen rivers reach the ocean. Thousands urged to evacuate Georgetown, South Carolina today, as many others, like this woman near Wilmington, North Carolina, clean up from Hurricane Florence's flood damage already done.
Far from normal. It's going to be several months, if not a year, till we see any normal life to some people.
Fox News, fair and balanced.
Sunrise in Chicago. Fair skies now, 59 degrees at 7:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. A school bus driver in Indiana is under arrest after allegedly letting students drive a bus. The 27-year-old bus driver was arrested Friday and faces a felony charge. Police say she allowed an 11-year-old, 13-year-old, and 17-year-old to drive short distances near Valparaiso. A threat to a North Suburban high school is being investigated this morning. It was found by students late last week at Glenbrook South High School. A message on the back of a desk said there would be a school shooting or some type of incident, according to the school, September 25th. This weekend's homecoming dance had increased security due to that threat. Multiple shootings being investigated in Chicago since Friday evening. Friday evening alone saw 8 shot between 5 p.m. and midnight. Over the weekend, 1 person was killed, 24 others wounded. An investigation is underway into 2 cases of Legionnaire's disease. The Chicago Department of Public Health says the only commonality between the 2 cases is a downtown hotel, the Embassy Suites, that both patients stayed at. 2 fewer downtown hotels in Chicago will be impacted by an ongoing labor strike after Unite Local 1 came to an agreement with Hotel Allegro and Hotel Palomar over the weekend. Chicago sports. Bears turn a 14-0 first quarter deficit into a 16-14 win in the desert over the Cardinals. Bears head coach Matt Nagy says the defensive side of the ball is showing a major strength.
For our defense, 3 weeks in a row now where they've done some special things. And offensively, we understand too that we can be a lot better in so many different areas. But really, in the end, there's only one thing that matters, and that's to win.
Jordan Howard scored from 1 yard out for Chicago's only touchdown. Cubs beat the White Sox 6-1 at the rate. Kyle Schwarber homered and doubled in the Cubs win. Bulls kick off training camp this week. Blackhawks have their final preseason games this week. They're all at home ahead of the start of the regular season. The news, a service of Compassion International. For just 5 quarters a day, you can sponsor a child through Compassion International. Pocket change to you, life-changing for a child in need. Be part of the change. Become a sponsor now at compassion.com/radio. 7:04 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Don't miss Freedom Summit 2018 on Saturday, October 27th. Presented by Geiger Wealth Management, Chicago's retirement planning experts. This year, featuring headline speakers, former Milwaukee County Sheriff David Clark and James O'Keefe from Project Veritas. Also appearing, AM 560's Mike Gallagher, Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, and Joe Walsh. Get your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by Charles Equipment Energy Systems and by The Income Store.
Renowned medical correspondent and endurance race champion Bob Arnott, MD.
People ask me, how do you keep competing at the age of 70? Healthy living is important, but so is pain relief. If you have pain, you can't train. So I'm thrilled I discovered Salonpas Lidocaine Plus. This unique topical pain reliever contains 2 safe and effective anesthetics. Nothing has worked better for me.
Salonpas Lidocaine Plus, cream or roll-on.
What gives one company the edge over another? Maybe it's not one thing. Maybe it's taking care of lots of things that help a business run smoothly. In other words, Cintas. Cintas has products that help your people stay safe and apparel programs that convey the right image. They service fire protection equipment, deliver and stock restroom supplies, and make sure facilities are clean and ready. Because when all those things work together, you're in business.
Oh, I'm ready!
Get Cintas and get ready for the workday.
The following is a paid political announcement.
Do you believe Springfield works for us? Sean Thompson from Elmwood Park doesn't.
Nobody represents me, and nobody represents you. They represent themselves.
And Susan Michaud from Wheaton's home values are suffering for it.
Our property values are going down because our taxes keep going up.
Your property taxes go up, your home value goes down. The government takes your home. Rich, poor, Republican, Democrat, we're all the same when it comes to property taxes. Gino Fioravanti of River Forest is leaving Illinois because of high taxes.
We're not going to be living in Illinois anymore, and it's due to the property taxes.
Sean Thompson blames both sides.
It's bipartisan failure.
You either force politicians who oppose property tax caps out of office, or they force you out of Illinois. A group of independent property tax reform candidates are running to save your home and our state now. Go to SaveYourHomeNow.org to take up their fight just as they have taken up yours. You stay. The politicians go, because they're the ones who suck. SaveYourHomeNow.org.
Liberty Principles paid for this ad and is solely responsible for its content, not authorized by any candidate or candidate committee.
The T.J. Martell Foundation, music's promise for a cure. To learn more, visit tjmartell.org. That's tjmartell.org.
7:07 in Chicago on a Monday morning. Let's get the update from the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. In for Jim, here's Dominic.
On the near north side of the city, we've got Ellison shut down between Cortland and Armitage because of a truck fire. Inbound Eden's 32 in from Lake Cook, delays at Niles Center. Inbound Kennedy 50 in from O'Hare, 28 in from the Junction, 23 in the inbound Express. Jammed up off the O'Hare extension, then pretty solid from the Junction in. Outbound looking at 40 minutes downtown to Montrose, an hour 6 out to O'Hare. A bulk of the delay between the Burns Circle and Addison. Inbound Ike, 48 in from Thorndale. Outbound delays Costner through St. Charles. Hang-ups on the inbound Stevenson begin at Harlem. 56 in from 355, 43 in from the Tri-State. Inbound Ryan crashed on the locals at 63rd. Blocks off the right lane with slowdowns on the inbound Bishop Ford near 115th. Northbound 355 hung up 75th to the Reagan. That's traffic. I'm Dominic Fortini from the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center on AM 560. The Answer.
And Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast. From the 1-hour heating and air conditioning weather center, here's our meteorologist, Kevin Snyder.
Some sun to start the day, then clouds will increase with a high today 74. Tonight turning out to be mainly cloudy, just a passing shower with a low tonight of 63. Occasional rain and a thunderstorm tomorrow, high 80. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
58 at O'Hare, 62 along the lakefront. Your next news update is at 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by The Lou Bridges Show, a show about the truth of the foreclosure crisis. Saturday mornings at 8 on AM 560, The Answer.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
I don't know. Is that too celebratory given the
things
given
have
the mood?
changed.
Yeah,
Things have changed since we, Justin Kosick, our technical producer, sang that little ditty.
it was
So
fun for a while.
Things were going smoothly, and then
So
you had the Me Too moment hits the Senate Judiciary Committee, and that's going to happen on Thursday, allegedly.
Well,
it's
yeah.
scheduled for Thursday.
There's calls for postponement, right, as we heard at the top of the hour. Carol Roth, she's a friend of the show, fills in from time to time and whatnot. Entrepreneur, she's a financial services professional.
Smart cookie.
Yeah, she tweeted over the weekend, I like this. There are great men and crappy men. Also, there are great women and crappy women. Being awful is not correlated to your gender. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. A very succinct TED Talk. Of course, she's right, and it's so funny, the kindergarten lessons that have to be relearned in these controversies. But here's my question. Can you be a great man and sometimes a crappy man? Can you be a great woman and sometimes a crappy woman, right? We're all fallen. We're all sinners. And so my question is, can the 87 women who had the press conference on Friday...
87. Did you see that? It was a remarkable showing.
They all character witnesses for Brett Kavanaugh, hashtag I stand with Brett. Can those 87 women be describing the same man that his now two accusers are describing. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. Let's hear from some of the women standing with Brett. First is Sarah Fagan, who got to know Brett when they worked as colleagues in the George W. Bush administration.
I first met Brett when we were both working in the early days of the Bush administration. All told, I worked closely with him for 4 years. No matter the hour or assignment, Brett was always the same: thoughtful, detailed, and wise beyond his years. And whether you were male or female, white or black, an intern or the chief of staff, Brett was also always the same: respectful, responsive, and available. His character was consistent. Simply put, Brett was a great colleague.
Megan McCaleb has known Brett Kavanaugh for 38 years.
They went to Turnabout together, right?
The first sock hop in grade school. And you'll like this. McCaleb talks about him being a dedicated coach and volunteer.
The Brett Kavanaugh I know is a dedicated coach of young girls, not only in basketball, but in life lessons that come from playing team sports, winning with humility, losing with grace, determination, perseverance, grit. I know this because he coaches my niece, and his impact on her has been immeasurable. The Brett Kavanaugh I know regularly serves food to the homeless and tutors underprivileged children. The Brett Kavanaugh I know was there when one of my closest friends lost her husband to ALS. And he invited my friend's daughter to the father-daughter dance that first year and every year since. The Brett Kavanaugh I know was days away from his confirmation hearing when my father passed away. Brett skipped his preparation to attend my dad's funeral, went and prepared all afternoon for his hearing, and then asked if he could stop by my house that night to chat with my mom and my family.
Are you trying to make me cry?
I'm just saying, I mean, can this be the same guy who, once he's around a keg, becomes, a groper and whips out his junk and pushes it in a girl's face as a prank, as the second accuser, as reported in the New Yorker, Deborah Ramirez, alleges happened at a party at Yale.
Yeah, in 1983-84 academic school year, they were at a dorm party, and she claims that he stuck, whatever in her face. This story is so thin and flimsy, and shame on Ronan Farrow for rushing to print this piece of crap, because that's what it is. Because people that were at that party said there's no cooperation. Nobody said, no, that didn't happen. This woman, Deborah Ramirez, who, by the way, in her Facebook picture has a Puerto Rican T-shirt on.
Okay.
Well, I'm a little.
So that
I'm a mama Puerto Ricans.
Yeah, that should be a check in her favor for you.
Well, whatever. No, I don't like it.
Okay.
But honestly, they said that she was a big drinker. And it took her 6 days, meeting with her attorney, 6 days, to go. What was it? Memory relapse. They had to jog through her memory.
Well,
sure
to assess, reflect upon. Yeah, I get it.
But
I mean, my point is,
jive.
she concedes. Miss Ramirez concedes that she was drinking at the party and that she was a little groggy, but she nevertheless clearly recalls this happening. She recalls somebody yelling out, "Brett Kavanaugh just did this to Deborah." So that's what she bases her allegation on, is that memory that has come back to her, I guess, or has recrystallized itself. I don't know. But so that guy, I mean, can you get a little
nerdy guy?
Well, can you get drunk at a party and do things you would normally do and behave in a boorish manner? Sure you can.
But again, he's categorically denying this and says, in fact, that this is part of a smear campaign.
That's what he said.
Because not one person, even Charles Grassley, information via CNN, the 4 people that were allegedly at the party with Blasey Ford, not one of them, not one, said that had happened.
The fourth, a woman, Leland Kaiser, has come forward. She submitted a statement to the Senate Judiciary Committee saying, I have no recollection. I don't know Brett Kavanaugh, no recollection of ever being at a party with him. So she's not substantiating the claim of Blasey Ford. Interestingly, also...
Yeah, who's her ex-husband?
Well, Bob Beckel. I mean,
this
is
weird.
I know, it's
like a soap opera skit.
But in addition to that, You have Kim Strassel over at Wall Street Journal sussing out the interference that the Washington Post was running for Blasey Ford, the way they were reporting it. They didn't report even though they knew about Leland Kaiser not corroborating her story, refuting the story, or at least saying, I don't know Brett Kavanaugh. I've never been at a party with him to my best of my recollection. Well, they just focused on the men that Blasey Ford identified in their initial reporting. They purposely spiked Leland Kaiser. Kim Strassel got an email from Mark Judge and has been able to put this together. So they're,
because it didn't fit their agenda.
Right. They're shaping their coverage to support the accuser, even when there is potentially exculpatory witness testimony. I mean, it's remarkable what's going on.
And can I just get this off my chest for my liberal friends out there who all weekend kept saying, well, Anita Hill, the FBI investigated. The reason why the FBI investigated, because at the time, Clarence Thomas was an employee of the federal government on federal property when alleged sexual harassment happened to Anita Hill. So the FBI can't just come in and investigate state crimes in private homes that happened 36 years ago.
You could argue it's an extension of the background checking, and okay, fine. And that background, this could have been easily done as part of the background checking the FBI did prior to its confirmation hearing if Dianne Feinstein would have provided the information to Chuck Grassley or to anybody else such that the FBI could have looked into it back in July. She didn't do that, which is why some have argued she should be censured. Even some on the left have said Dianne Feinstein didn't help anybody with the way that she did this, and how she handled this was inappropriate to jackpot him in the 11th hour like this, and she's created much of this consternation around this allegation. Take a couple calls. Scott on the west side, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, Dan and Amy, thanks for taking my call. What the left is doing is taking normal teenage young adult male behavior, which I consider normal, and criminalizing it. Young men and teenagers, when they get drunk, they do these things, and so do women, by the way.
Yep.
It's normal behavior, and there's nothing wrong with it. And I wish that they would just have the vote today and get it over with.
Scott.
Thanks for the call, Scott. Appreciate it. I mean,
I'm with Scott. I wish they would just, you know what? You're not here. It's Monday. Sorry, and just vote it out of committee.
well, just a point of order, not to be a prude, but
what were you a
or
perfect
hold
in high school?
hold myself out as a paragon of moral virtue, because I'm clearly not. The next time I do that would be the first time I did that. Okay, so I'm not saying that, but
Prude Proft, yes, go on.
I wouldn't say it's normal behavior what's alleged by these two women. I never.
Oh, I think it's so normal. Are you kidding me?
Well,
go to any high school, Oak Park, River Forest, Hersey High School, Wheeling. Everybody did that.
Everybody whips out their junk and waves it in somebody's face.
I'm saying in high school when you get drunk and you start paying a little patty cake.
Everybody gets drunk and tries to rip the clothes off some girl.
Or you try to get under her shirt. I know this is so juvenile, but it's so true.
Maybe
you try to get under the shirt, and that's what he's doing, trying to get under their shirt.
Maybe when you're up at inspiration point, and then there's some pecking, and it moves into heavy petting, and this sounds like an 80-year-old man describing male-female relations.
Just watch the movie Grease. I mean, John Travolta tried to do that to Olivia Newton-John. Remember?
Yeah,
tried to get up on her shirt. She's like, Donnie, what are you doing, Donnie?
Right.
And she smacked him and got out, and then she started smoking and became one of the ladies.
Yeah, no, I thank
What were they
you
called?
for the plot summary of Grease.
I'm just saying that it's a rite of passage. It's a high school thing.
I know, but
I'm sure you didn't do that at Bennett. You were too reading.
Obviously
busy
not.
reading War and Peace.
Sure, all of Tolstoy's works. Here's the
so
thing.
Exciting.
Here's what I would say. What is alleged by the two women, Miss Ford and Miss Ramirez, I don't think it's normal behavior. It shouldn't be excused. Does it happen? Is it disqualifying for the Supreme Court of the United States 36 years ago? That's a different question. But I don't think you want to normalize that behavior, even though it happens, and it shouldn't, stain you for the rest of your life.
If it did happen, it just shows he's human.
Well, of course, right. I mean, that's so this is the larger question is, number one, did he do these things? And then number two, if he did do these things, is it disqualifying? That's the sort of question everybody is wrestling with. And most people, at least that I've talked to, and from the show as well, but off the show, said go back to sort of what Scott on the West Side said. Look, is that boorish behavior? Would I hit my son on the back of the head and ground him if I heard that he did something like that? Of course, it's not. You don't want to condone it, but does it end your career 35, 36 years after the fact? No.
Yeah, I agree.
And by the way, that's not conceding that I believe the two accusers over what Kavanaugh has said. I'm kind of want to hear and see a little bit more. And if I was Kavanaugh, by the way, these delays and Thursday
deadline extensions. Every time there was a deadline extension, her story lost so much credibility.
Well, here's what I mean, if my reputation is being pilloried and I'm sort of handcuffed by the hostage negotiation going on between Chuck Grassley and Blasey Ford's attorneys, in addition to now the second accuser, Deborah Ramirez. Look, you guys either put me before that committee at a date and time certain, or I'm going to start holding press conferences, because I'm not just going to sit silent, deny this, and not have a chance for the public to hear from me about the specifics of these allegations. And I'm not just going to let 87 women run interference for me. Not that they're running interference, act as character witnesses for me like they did at that press conference, and then nobody is ever going to hear from me. People want to hear from me, and I want to be heard. I'd be chomping at the bit if I was him,
I'm
and
sure
I think
he's
he is.
having some rough nights sleeping.
Anthony in Waukegan.
Hi, Dan and Amy. I love the show, and so don't take this the wrong way.
I won't.
Okay.
But perhaps, Dan, especially you, maybe you need to walk back or apologize to your listeners for the way you went after Roy Moore several months ago.
No,
and,
I don't think I do.
you.
No, I don't think I do, actually. But thanks for the call, Anthony. And
Thanks for listening,
This is nothing. This is
not
not
even
similar
close
to Roy Moore in almost any way.
You cannot compare the two at all.
Not even close. And by the way, much of my judgment on Roy Moore was based on what Roy Moore said and how Roy Moore answered questions and the details that Roy Moore did or didn't give, and the oscillating Roy Moore did about dating young girls when he was in his 30s. And so not even close, no apology forthcoming from me with respect to Roy Moore. Hey, sorry to break the news to you. Bob in Montclair.
Hey, I think she needs more time to prepare her case, and along with the lady from Yale. Her supporters, Dr. Ford's supporters, are portraying her as something like Joan of Arc, and I believe it. Wouldn't you want more time to prepare after her first trial, where she was tried and convicted, burned at the stake by a bunch of old white Christian men?
Yeah, okay.
I would.
Thanks for the call, Bob. By the way, Amy Chua, Tiger Mom. You know, she's the Yale law professor who wrote the Tiger Mom books.
Oh, yeah.
Was
she at that party too?
No, but she's been accused by Yale law students who are papering over the entire campus with anti-Kavanaugh stuff of
what?
Of grooming female clerks for Judge Kavanaugh. Former students are saying all of Kavanaugh's clerks look like models.
Oh my God!
Like use Charlie Wilson there on the D.C. Court of Appeals. I mean. And Chua has rejected this, but I mean, even somebody respected Yale law professor like Amy Chua, everybody gets cannibalized by the left unless you are in full froth. Tom in Deer Park.
Yeah, and I have a general question. Everything I read and see on the right, there's a lot of introspection. There's different takes. There's the willingness to hear the accuser. There's the pushing forward the notion of due process. So maybe I'm wrong here, but all the people I follow on, or almost all the people I follow on the left, whether they're politicians, academia, they're in print, or they're on cable, I don't see such introspection. What I see is unanimity of an agenda, and it all boils down to, well, we're mad about Merrick Garland, and we're going to do anything in our power to stop this, and doesn't matter if we destroy the processes that we have in our country for due process, and it doesn't matter if we destroy this man and his family. That's my take, and I was wondering what your thoughts are.
I think you're saying it exactly right. Thanks, Tom.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Larry Nora, founder and CEO of U-Store It, a network of award-winning self-storage facilities in the Chicago area, and a customer of Signature Bank. We've developed over 70 storage centers throughout the city and suburbs, and our business continues to grow. We need a bank who understands the neighborhoods and communities where we are making investments. We found that in Signature Bank. They know this city and its neighborhoods because they are based right here in Chicago. Finding a local banking institution like Signature Bank has been critical to the success of U-Store It, and we look forward to a long-term relationship.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Looking to refinance your home? Then you need to call Team Hochberg. Sally's heard hundreds of Team Hochberg's ads, so naturally she called the nation's largest online lender, obsessed with their rocket, because she saw their ad pumping gas. Bad move. The rocket-loving lender quoted Sally a rate higher than us, and closing costs $6,000 more than Team Hochberg's. We explained the exorbitant closing costs and refinanced Sally into a lower rate and credited all of her closing costs. Team Hochberg doesn't have a rocket, but we have lower rates and substantially lower closing costs than the nation's largest online rocket-loving lender. You could call the nation's largest online lender who spends millions promoting their rocket by charging excessive closing costs, or you could call Team Hochberg at 312-751-1333 or visit am560david.com. Team Hochberg has helped thousands of AM560 listeners, but we can't help if you don't call 312-751-1333 or visit am560david.com. Pearl Mortgage and Equal Housing Lender, Illinois Residential Mortgage Licensee 4358 and MLS 19186.
Can a community center be used by a church for a special service? This is Law and Justice with Jay Sekulow.
We have a situation out here that we want to use a community center, and they will let us use it for youth meetings, women's meetings, but if we ask them to use it on a Sunday morning for a worship service, they say we can use it, but we cannot pray or have music and worship. So I'm wondering what our position is before we go back to them.
Well, let me tell you this, that the issue of worship services at facilities that are open to the community is something that's front and center at our work here at the ACLJ. And you have these denials based on the fact that the meetings include prayer or worship, and that's deemed to be illegal or unauthorized or something they don't want. But again, worship should not be deemed off limits in a government facility. We will also get one of our lawyers here at the American Center for Law and Justice to help you. So you hang on the line right now. We're going to get you in touch with one of our lawyers.
Sign up to become a member of the American Center for Law and Justice at aclj.org. That's aclj.org.
If you're in the market for a new vehicle, then now's the time to get one. With the 2019s arriving, you'll find the lowest prices of the year on all our great new 2018s and certified pre-owned Ford models. Get $3,000 off Escapes and Edges and $3,500 off Explorers or 0% for 60 months. $2,000 off Fusion or 0% for 72 months and $4,000 off Focus or 0% for 60 months. And on select F-150s, get $2,500 off plus 0.9% for 60 months. Come in and see why we're Chicagoland's best Ford buying experience. We've been treating people like family for over 44 years. And for the 5th year running, we're again your favorite Ford dealer. Find out about all the exclusives that make a Ford from Joe Cotton Ford a better value. It's our promise to you. We'll treat you great and save you money. From 3 generations of our family to yours, you have our word on it. At Gary and North Avenue in Carroll Stream or at joecottonford.com. Through October 1st, all prices plus tax, title, license, and dock fees with approved credit. See dealer for details.
Listen up, Chicago area. Are you interested in making some extra cash buying real estate tax liens? The Real Estate and Tax Lien Network is offering a free tax lien kit that'll show you how to use their simple 3-step formula and their proprietary website to earn secured returns, potentially up to 25%. It's so simple. You can do this in your pajamas from the comfort of your own home. Just point, click, and start buying tax liens right through their website anywhere in the U.S. And they're completely secured by the government. So if you're looking to become a real estate investor without getting dirty fixing fixing up houses, then call 1-800-570-7120 now to get your free tax lien kit. Then get ready to buy tax liens for as low as a few $100s working only part-time. Call 800-570-7120 right now to get your free tax lien kit. Plus, 2 free tickets to a live training event, which includes a free smartwatch just for attending. Call 800-570-7120. That's 800-570-7120 for your free tax lien kit now. Individual results may vary.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up on Chicago this morning, Nancy.
All right, in honor of Hawk Harrelson, cinching up and hunker down because Diamond and Silk are coming up at 7:37. We'll get their take exactly on Kavanaugh and Rosenstein.
And later on, Tigers on top. Oh, the comeback complete. But first, let's get into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott. Don't shake your head.
It was an easy win at the end of the season when no one was paying attention.
It's not complete until he wins a major.
That's right.
Period. Full stop.
That's
okay,
right.
fine. End of story. We won't discuss it then. Take it away, Mike.
59 degrees and blue skies. A new allegation in the Brett Kavanaugh case. Sexual misconduct is the charge. The New Yorker reports a woman named Deborah Ramirez claims Kavanaugh exposed himself in front of her when he was a student at Yale. Ramirez says the incident happened at a dorm room party. Illinois U.S. Senator Dick Durbin defending the woman, accusing Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh of sexual assault.
When someone steps forward and accuses another person of this kind of sexual assault, it needs to be taken seriously. We need to treat that person with respect and look at the allegations that have been made.
Senator Lindsey Graham, though, is standing behind the Supreme Court nominee.
Unless there's something more, no, I'm not going to ruin Judge Kavanaugh's life over this.
Kavanaugh saying in a statement the accusation was a smear, plain and simple. World leaders are bracing for another round of confrontation with President Trump a day before the UN General Assembly's general debate begins on Tuesday. Recovery efforts are still underway after Hurricane Florence. North Carolina's I-95 has reopened after being shut down September 15. Iran's Revolutionary Guards are threatening what the leader of that elite unit calls devastating revenge on the U.S. and Israel after a deadly attack on a military parade over the weekend that was blamed on Arab separatists in the region. A threat at a North Suburban high school is being investigated, found by students last week at Glenbrook South High School. A message on a desk said there would be a school shooting on September 25. There was increased security at this weekend's homecoming dance. Some Albany Park residents are concerned over City of Chicago drinking water. The city says it's safe, but a petition campaign is being launched to get more information on the lead service lines that connect homes to city pipes. Chicago sports, Bears turn a 14-0 first quarter deficit into a 16-14 win over the Cardinals in Glendale. Cubs winners over the White Sox, 6-1 at Guaranteed Rate Field. Kyle Schwarber homered and doubled as the Cubs took the rubber match of a 3-game series. Bulls start training camp this week, and the Blackhawks are wrapping up training camp with their final 3 preseason games at home. The news service of the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation. Crohn's and Colitis Foundation of America invites you to take steps for cures at a walk event near you. Support the 1.6 million Americans living with these diseases and get started at cctakesteps.org. 7:34 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dennis Prager doesn't see the recognition of Trump's accomplishments.
The left blew it. Donald Trump has achieved a tremendous amount. Since 1969, this is the lowest number of people filing for unemployment insurance. Do you realize what the headlines would be if this was Hillary Clinton or any Democrat? It would be banner headlines. It's ignored.
The Dennis Prager Show. Weekdays at 11, right before Sean Hannity at 2 on AM 560. The Answer. Being successful in business means overcoming enormous obstacles to serve your customers and the community. We want to learn from successful businesses that are thriving what makes them unique. Today, we hear from Vincent Pace of Barnett Real Estate Investment Finance as he tells us how I built it, presented by Chicagoland Waterproofing.
When I came over to the larger company, Barnett Capital, it wasn't exactly clear what I was going to work on. I helped with various businesses when eventually they kind of settled on, hey, we've got this business that nobody's focusing on day to day. We provide short-term capital to investors. Do you want to try and grow this business? And I said, absolutely. The business was sort of collected as deals just came to the deal guys at the company. They'd get a deal, they'd put it on the book, but they weren't focusing on it day to day. Nobody was trying to improve systems. No one was trying to do systematic marketing of the business. So by simply applying me to that, there was sort of low-hanging fruit and easy growth to be had. We were able to double it in year one, double it again in year two, and the growth has continued ever since then. The biggest challenge, I would say, has been getting to the clients in this space. It's not a space where it's easy to find people sort of congregated. Real estate investors often don't know about the capital options available to them. It's hard for them to sort of find us and even others like us out there in the space. So there's all sorts of real estate investment associations out there. We've been sponsoring them, attending them, trying to get speaking slots at those places, because we find when we're out there talking to people, they come up to us after we do our speech, our conversation with them, and they say, hey, here's a problem I have, and I can look for a solution. And, in a lot of cases, we can find one. We found that to be a very good source. So we can kind of figure out the deals that someone else might say, hey, this looks weird and I don't get it. We can say, actually, I understand what you're doing, and we can get this done. So, our sort of tagline would be speed, certainty, and flexibility.
This edition of How I Built It is sponsored in part by Signature Bank and Ozinga. To tell us about how you built your business, go to 560theanswer.com/build.
Check out the newest podcast from the Associated Press, Ground Game, hosted by AP's Meghan Crane. A weekly conversation about top political issues ahead of the upcoming midterm elections. Available on Apple Podcasts.
7:37. Let's check the roads in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center, and in for Jim, Dominic Fortini.
On the near north side of the city, we've got Ellison shut down between Cortland and Armitage because of a truck fire. Inbound Eden's 32 in from Lake Cook, delays at Niles Center. Inbound Kennedy 50 in from O'Hare, 28 in from the junction, 23 in the inbound Express. Jammed up off the O'Hare extension and pretty solid from the junction in. Outbound looking at 40 minutes downtown to Montrose, an hour 6 out to O'Hare. A bulk of the delay between the Burns Circle and Addison. Inbound Ike 48 in from Thorndale. Outbound delays Costner through St. Charles. Hang-ups on the inbound Stevenson begin at Harlem. 56 in from 355, 43 in from the Tri-State. Inbound Ryan, a crash still in the locals at 63rd, blocks off the right lane with slowdowns on the inbound Bishop Ford near 115th. Northbound 355 hung up 75th to the Reagan. That's traffic. I'm Dominic Fortini from the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center on AM 560. The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the 1-hour heating and air conditioning weather center. Sunshine this morning gives way to afternoon clouds and a high of 74. Low of 63 with a chance of a rain shower overnight and a better chance of rain tomorrow. Currently 58. Next news coming up at 8. And Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Retirement Zone Radio and the North Shore Capital Group, empowering you Saturday afternoons at 4.
Don't miss David Clark and James O'Keefe at Freedom Summit 2018. Get your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. So CNN did a little focus group with 5 Republican women from Florida. Your friend Randy Kay, Amy.
Yes.
And
she's your friend. Well,
she
you know her too.
Yeah, she asked the question, who believes Kavanaugh? And all 5 ladies raised their hand. They believe Kavanaugh, and they explain why.
A show of hands. How many of you believe Judge Kavanaugh when he says this didn't happen?
I believe him.
I
do believe him.
I believe him.
How can we believe the word of a woman or something that happened 36 years ago when this guy has an impeccable reputation? There was nobody that has spoken ill will about him. Everyone that speaks about him, this guy's an altar boy, a scout. He's, because one woman made an allegation. Sorry, I don't buy it.
Well, it's now 2 women. This was before the Deborah Ramirez allegation, the New Yorker, out this weekend, but they believe him. And what if it did happen? We don't really know. So what if it did happen? What would your response be?
But in the grand scheme of things, my goodness, there was no intercourse. There was maybe a touch. Right. Can we really? 36 years later, she's still stuck on that? Had it happened?
I mean, we're talking about a 15-year-old girl, which I respect. I'm a woman, I respect. And we're talking about a 17-year-old boy in high school with testosterone running high. Tell me what boy hasn't done this in high school. Please, I would like to know.
Does something that allegedly happened some 30-plus years ago matter today?
You can't judge the character of a man based on what he did at 17.
And I would hate to think that 30, 40 years later, somebody's going to destroy your life because somewhere at some party, it's not right, but maybe you touch somebody the way you were not supposed to.
And who brought the alcohol for these kids?
As women, though, do you have some sympathy for her, for what she's going through?
No, I have no sympathy. And perhaps maybe at that moment she liked him, and maybe he didn't pay attention to her afterwards, and he went out with another girl, and she got bitter, or whatever the situation is. They're kids.
All right.
That got a little aggressive, but
let's.
I understand with a level of sympathy. I have none.
All right.
For her.
Let's
and
see.
that sounds awful, but if she was a real victim, she'd be already in D.C. today testifying.
Let's see if there's any empathy to be found for Miss Blase Ford and Miss Ramirez from our friends, the first ladies of punditry. They are Diamond and Silk, host of The Viewer's View. Diamond and Silk, thanks so much for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having us.
All right, so what do you ladies have to say about the ladies defending Brett Kavanaugh and the two ladies accusing him?
Listen, first of all, it's two idiots, too, because one came out last night. Okay, so if you don't know when it happened, where it happened, how it happened, then your story don't sound right. It doesn't sound credible to us. Okay? And then for everyone to take and to judge Kavanaugh while he's a man, when all of this here allegedly happened or was supposed to happen while he was a teenage boy, when his prefrontal cortex wasn't developed, when he was not a grown man. It is unbeknownst to me. I am just taken aback by it. Not only that, these teenagers, what did they do back in the day? They used to drink, running around half naked and doing all kinds of things. We've all been teenagers before. That's right. Now, anybody that has been abused, that has truly been abused, you will never forget the place, the when, the where, the how. You will never, ever, I promise you, you will never forget that, okay? But her story sounded a little shady. Now, this other girl that came out, I think she claimed that he exposed himself. Well, if he exposed himself, what did she expose? I get so tired of women running around here like they saints. Because let me tell you something, Diamond and Silk have been out and we've paid attention, and there's a lot of these women are loose and they throw themselves at these men, and we've seen it. Now, today is Kavanaugh. Tomorrow it can be your brother, your father, your cousin. And if I was everybody, I don't care what side of the aisle you're on, you need to be paying attention to how the left is trying to run this country, how they can just accuse you of something and make it true. You need to make sure you vote right so that you won't get caught up in this left foolishness.
Now, are you ladies going to be open-minded, though, when Blasey Ford finally comes? Hopefully it comes to Washington and tells her story.
I am going to be open-minded, but I'm also going to be open to the fact that these allegations, she's making these claims when they were teenagers. Right. When do people have a chance to redeem themselves? Just think about that, y'all. Think about if somebody went back in your past and say, oh, when you was 13 years old, this happened. See, he has such an impeccable record. You can't find nothing about him when he's a grown man. So you go back to when he's a teenager. And then if you got a story to tell your story. Why are you hiring lawyers and got all of these team of people? For what? Why didn't you go to the police? Why didn't you send a letter to Feinstein? Who the heck is Feinstein? She ain't nothing but a senator. She's not the authorities. She's not the police. And another thing, you can't make no commands and demands on how you want to testify and how you want to do this. When you take it to the police, they make the decisions on what goes down. The courts make the decision on what goes down. Silk, I'm sorry. I feel like you want to say go something. ahead. You got this. Go ahead. Okay. I mean, I'm so appalled by it, you all. I am appalled by what I see going on, and I'm telling you, this is the left. This is how they want to do. They took that Me Too movement, they politicized it, and now they're using it as a weapon to try to take people down, to try to destroy this man's credibility. And guess what? I don't care if Kavanaugh passed tomorrow. It's going to always be a stain on him that it was this alleged abuse allegation, and that's what's so sad. I will never vote for another Democrat. Everybody needs to vote Republican, because if you don't, this is the trajectory that our country is going to go in. You're going to see people just falling, just being taken down, livelihoods destroyed over allegations. What did the woman do? other dude? Were you innocent? What did you do? If something happened 30 years ago, you can stand in front of anybody and tell it if you want to get it off your chest. But when I see you hiring teams of leaders, when I see you hiring lawyers, when I see you sending a letter to the senator and not sending it to the police, oh, I have a problem with that. Something ain't right about this. It's all political, and everybody know it.
Now, on the other side, concurrent to the Kavanaugh confirmation hearing and this controversy, of course, is Keith Ellison, Democrat congressman, candidate for attorney general in Minnesota, also the deputy chairman of the DNC, and two women accusing him of abuse. One, an ex-girlfriend, and she's really doubling down. She gave an interview recently with the CBS affiliate there, providing detail about a meeting they had where Ellison was trying to sort of soft pedal her and according to her, and have her stop tweeting about the Me Too movement and about abuse because he was afraid she was going to make allegations against him. That's her characterization of it. How do you react to the two women making allegations against Keith Ellison and his response?
Well, here's the deal. This is what I don't understand. These two women been making these allegations, but it's nothing from the left. You hear nothing from the left. You see what the hypocrisy, how the hypocrisy look like? And we've even reached out to one of the girls because we wanted to have her on the show so that she can discuss and talk about her story, because she said the Democrats have ostracized her and won't give her a chance to talk about it. You know, it's a clear double standard.
Well, did Karen Monahan come on?
If this girl have proof, then we have to look at her proof. But you got this other girl from 30 years. She don't have no proof. She can't find no witness. People wondering what she talking about. It's something strange going on.
And let's not forget about Juanita Broderick. She'll be on our show tonight, by the way.
Oh, good.
But let's not forget about her. Why don't the left want to hear her story?
And the Me Too movement. Why are they leaving her out? You know, listen, I take abuse allegations very serious. I take abuse serious. Okay, I take that very serious. But what I don't like, you don't take something like that and politicize it and use that as a weapon and try to take people down. You know, this man, his reputation is going to be ruined. And shame on the Senate. Shame on people sitting up there on that committee. They should have confirmed him, and he should have been confirmed today.
That's right. And
Stop playing the left game.
Shame on the Republicans for allowing this. And I say that because the Democrats, this is their tactics. They've been doing this here for years.
Right.
And the Republicans continue to fall in the dookie of it.
That's right.
What they need to do is wake up and say, we're not falling for this anymore. We're not falling for your okie doke. What we're going to do is go ahead and confirm Kavanaugh and then let the chips fall where they may. Because if you didn't have enough sense to bring up this allegations and stuff during his hearing, why are you going to wait till after his hearing doing the confirmation part?
Right. And another thing, you know what? This is, like you said, Sil, this is what the Democrats do. This is a page out of their playbook.
That's
when they can't play the race card, now they play the sex card. This always happens. And guess what? I have to commend them because at least they stick together. It's time for Republicans to stick together like that. Stick together like that and confirm Kavanaugh and stop this foolishness.
That's right. And Feinstein, she need to be talking about her driver of 20 years who was a Chinese spy. Nobody is talking about that. Nobody. How he quietly retired while getting paid a government pension from taxpayer dollars. Nobody want to talk about that, but we want to talk about something that happened 36 years ago when somebody was a teenager.
And their prefrontal cortex was not developed. If you don't know what your prefrontal cortex is, that tells you what's right and what's wrong, and what you really know is right or wrong. And that don't develop until you about, 24, 25?
That's right.
Oh, please.
And that's why our movie is coming out, Dummycrats. Dummycrats the movie, because it's a lot of dumb people sitting over there on the Democrat side that play these doggone games. So go to Dummycrats the movie. It's premiering October the 15th. You can get your tickets now and see what theaters they're playing at, because we want to see your face in the place on that particular night.
We need some laughs because I'm just so irritated by it all.
All right, so, ladies. Bill Cosby is going to court today for a 2-day sentencing hearing. He's the first, person that could spend time in jail during this Me Too era. What are your thoughts on him, and how much time do you think, if any, he should spend in jail?
Oh, well, first of all, the only thing that I saw that Bill Cosby was guilty of was cheating on his wife. Camille. Okay, that's just my honest opinion about that. However, remember all the women you had coming out. Some of the women lied. They got on stand and said that they finally admitted that they lied, but they were able to go home and sleep in their somber beds and nothing never happened to them. You know what I wish? I wish that when a woman make an allegation and it turns out to be a lie, they give her just as much time as the person that they accuse of abusing them. That's number one. Number two is that Bill Cosby paid. He paid this woman. He paid this woman off. So I think she should be able to give him his money back. Number three, what got Bill Cosby in trouble is when he said that he was giving out those Quaaludes.
Right,
but do you know that's what they used to pop back in the day? He didn't only give people Quaaludes. It was a lot more of them giving people girls Quaaludes. See, you have to understand, we can't judge what happened back then like it is today. It's a totally different ball game back then. Back then, them drug addicts, they popped them pills, they gave it to each other. They had these big old wild parties. That's what they did back then. Today, that's unacceptable. And what we're trying to do is go back then and judge it like it is today. And that's what got everybody up in a pickle. Because at the end of the day, everybody can go to jail for something. Because a lot of people done a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. The Cosby thing seems like there's a lot of
date raping going on.
a lot of women telling the same story of being drugged.
Well, they consider that as raping today.
Yeah,
but back then,
that's right.
I heard Whoopi on The View say, well, she used to pop them. Okay?
Well,
listen, I'm just...
Look, it is what it is. People give stats for drugs. That's what those ladies was doing back then, and they still do it today. They give up their behinds to have stats so that they can take drugs. That was the thing of the norm back then. We can't make it the thing of the norm right now. And you're judging it right now as if it happened right now when it happened way back when.
Right.
Okay.
But Bill Cosby, look, if he did the crime, he's going to have to do the time, is what I got to say.
Yeah.
He admitted it. I think they had him on tape where he admitted to giving this woman this here drug.
But she got paid off.
Well, but even if she got paid off, he admitted it. That's what got him in trouble. See, if you bring for proof, then okay. But she brought for proof. They had it to be recorded where he, or some paperwork, something, where he testified to or said that he gave this woman, allegedly gave her this here particular
But just
pill.
because he gave it to her does not mean that he raped her intentionally.
Well,
that was the
listen.
thing of the norm back then.
But because of the Me Too era, because they can take this Me Too era and they can take it and use it as a weapon, that's what they've done.
All right. I'm done relitigating the Cosby thing for now.
I'm about to say, don't get us started.
No,
now.
I know. I did it. We did it.
Listen, people have a personal opinion, and the one thing is we're not robotic talking heads. We truth tellers, and we're going to tell the truth on how we see it.
I concede that point. Diamond and Silk, they are Trump supporters, hosts of The Viewer's View, and the movie Dummycrats coming out, October 12th, did you say?
October 15th. This is
October
a theater
15th.
near you. Go to dummycratsthemovie.com to get your tickets.
Get
All
your
right.
tickets, baby. Get your tickets.
All right, Diamond and Silk, thanks for joining us as always. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
Take care.
And they joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
You've made the switch, and it feels so good. You've switched to Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies in a capsule.
It's a great product. And the one thing I like about it the most is that when you open the bottles, you can smell like the scent of the fruits and veggies. It's no genius thing to it. It's really just fruits and veggies, which everyone needs. And you guys kind of put it in a way where you can take it easy and you can get it, and it's natural, and that's what I like about it. You know, I like the product, and I've taken it, and it's definitely made me feel a lot better. You know, I'm a healthy person to begin with, but it's definitely good prevention, and it's definitely gives me energy, and I feel like it's a natural thing. I like it. I really do.
For a limited time, use discount code CHICAGO to receive a 50% discount on your first preferred whole health system and have it shipped to you free. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go online to balanceofnature.com. Again, use discount code CHICAGO.
The following is a paid political announcement.
In campaign ad after campaign ad, Joe Donnelly's driving his RV all over the place. But while he's out driving around, who's working for us? When he went to Washington, Donnelly promised to fight for Indiana seniors, saying,
I want to make sure that the voices of Hoosiers seniors are heard.
But in Washington, it seems Donnelly skipped nearly 1/3 of his Senate Aging Committee hearings. How can the voices of Hoosier seniors be heard if Donnelly won't even show up and listen? Donnelly even skipped hearings on serious issues like Medicare and protecting financial security for seniors. So, if you see Joe out in his RV, give him a wave and tell him to do his job. Because if Donnelly won't show up for us, maybe it's time for him to hit the road for good. We don't need no-show Joe in the Senate. Senate Leadership Fund paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. www.senateleadershipfund.org.
On AM 560 The Answer, we talk about the important issues that affect your world. Things like the economy, education, and foreign policy. There's always so much going on in the news that we don't always have the time to focus in and talk about the big ideas behind the important issues. Enter Upstream Ideas online at upstream-ideas.com. Upstream Ideas, in partnership with the Illinois Opportunity Project, provides the kind of information that informs the policy discussions happening here on AM 560. At Upstream Ideas, you'll broaden the debate, move beyond partisan assumptions, and challenge accepted beliefs. Upstream Ideas goes against the current and thinks upstream. Go online now at upstream-ideas.com. That's upstream-ideas.com. You'll be armed with new information and fresh perspectives to help encourage you to make the state of Illinois and the United States of America a bit freer, a bit more just, and a bit more civilized. Upstream-ideas.com.
Folks, when shopping for a home mortgage, how much is great service, low closing costs, and competitive interest rates worth to you? At Townstone Financial, it's priceless. Hi, Barry Sterner, founder of Townstone Financial. Let's hear about the Townstone experience from one of our customers.
We have a 40-year-old daughter with metastatic stage 4 breast cancer, and the reason we needed to refinance is so we can help her. Zach said, yeah, we can do something, and believe me, he's my hero right now. He took enough money out to pay all my taxes, my insurances, everything is now escrowed. I love what he did, and didn't change any of the terms that he said to begin with. Your competitor was like a bad car salesman. Phenomenal job, Zach.
Remember, nobody values your home mortgage business more than Townstone. I guarantee it, and I own the company. So call me now, Barry Sterner, at 312-896-2110. That's 312-896-2110. Or go to townstone.com. That's TOWNSTONE.com.
Townstone Financials, Indiana, Michigan, Wisconsin, Florida, Illinois Mortgage Licensee 6629 and NMLS 136639. Equal housing lender.
Hey, join the Heartland Institute and me on Friday, October 26th for the 34th anniversary benefit dinner at the Cotillion in Palatine. I will be your MC, and the featured speaker will be Judge Andrew Napolitano from the Fox News Channel. Judge Napolitano is nationally known for watching and reporting on the government, and his no-holds-barred, hard-hitting commentary on government overreach and the abuse of our rights. Register today to reserve your VIP tickets or a whole table and meet Judge Napolitano. His important and unforgettable speech will be on the Constitution and human freedom. Also be there to help celebrate the lives of two people who have dedicated their lives to advancing liberty. Heartland Liberty Prize winners Joe Bast, the co-founder and former president of the Heartland Institute, and his wife Diane. Don't be held in contempt. Join the Heartland Institute and me, Judge Napolitano, on Friday, October 26th at the Cotillion in Palatine. For tickets or information, call 312-377-4000 or visit heartland.org. That's 312-377-4000 or heartland.org. I'll see you there.
What if being in recovery from a mental or substance use disorder was something we proudly showed the world? Millions of people are in recovery, sharing hope and support with family, friends, and community. Join the Voices for Recovery. For confidential information for mental and substance use disorders, call 1-800-662-HELP. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Don't forget that you can watch Chicago's Morning Answer on the Income Store live video stream every morning at 560theanswer.com.
What's happening? What does it mean? Why is it important? We've got the answer. AM 560, The Answer. WIND, Chicago.
A second Brett Kavanaugh accuser followed by a second denial. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. An allegation that has the top Democrat on the Senate Judiciary Committee wanting to delay Thursday's hearing when Kavanaugh's first accuser is set to testify. The second one's Deborah Ramirez, who claims when the Supreme Court nominee was a freshman at Yale, he exposed himself to her at a party.
Ramirez admitted to the magazine, though, that she doesn't fully remember the incident because she was highly intoxicated when it allegedly took place. One anonymous classmate says that he was told about the incident several days later, but 4 other classmates who were allegedly at the party, including one of Ramirez's best friends, told The New Yorker they never saw or heard about the incident.
Fox's Garrett Tenney. Kavanaugh's denying it all. Fox's Rachel Sutherland live in Washington.
Dave, Judge Kavanaugh issued a statement writing, "This alleged event from 35 years ago did not happen," adding, "This is a smear, plain and simple. I look forward to testifying Thursday about the truth and defending my good name and the reputation for character and integrity I've spent a lifetime building against these last-minute allegations." The White House says it stands firmly behind Judge Kavanaugh. In a statement, a spokesperson said this uncorroborated claim is the latest in a coordinated smear campaign by the Democrats designed to tear down a good man. Dave?
Rachel, President Trump's at the UN and just said he's with Kavanaugh all the way, calling the allegations political. He was at a global call to action on opioids and other drugs.
Cocaine and opium production have hit record highs, credibly, and global deaths caused by drug use has increased by 60% from the year 2000 to 2015.
Tomorrow he'll address world leaders at the General Assembly. Bill Cosby's back in court in Pennsylvania. Greeted by a few protesters for a sentencing hearing 5 months after the 81-year-old comedian was convicted of sexual assault to the delight of dozens of his other accusers. This is Fox News. Fair and balanced.
Sunshine, blue skies. 59 degrees, 8:02 in Chicago on AM 560. The Answer. And good morning. I'm Mike Scott. School bus driver in Indiana this morning is under arrest for allegedly letting students drive the bus. The 27-year-old driver was arrested and faces a felony charge of neglect of a dependent. Police say she allowed an 11-year-old, a 13-year-old, and a 17-year-old to drive short distances around Valparaiso. A threat at a north suburban high school is being investigated. Found by students last week at Glenbrook South High School, the message said there would be a shooting on September 25th. This weekend's homecoming dance had increased security at Glenbrook South due to that threat. Defense attorneys in Chicago police officer Jason Van Dyke's murder trial are expected to start calling witnesses, and the big question is whether Van Dyke will testify. Prosecutors rested their case last Thursday. An investigation is underway into 2 cases of Legionnaire's disease. Chicago Department of Public Health says the only commonality is a downtown hotel that both patients stayed at. Water at the Embassy Suites in the River North neighborhood is being sampled. 2 downtown Chicago hotels will be affected by the ongoing labor strike. Unite Local 1 came to an agreement with Hotel Allegro and Hotel Palomar over the weekend. The union, representing 6,000 workers that have not been working outside of 26 hotels. They've been on those picket lines since September 7. Their previous contract expired at the end of August. Bears turn a 14-0 first quarter deficit into a 16-14 win over the Cardinals Sunday. Cubs beat the White Sox 6-1. Bulls start training camp today. 8:04 is our time. It's time for the AM 560 Business Beat. And from the Fox Business Network, here's Jenny Casola.
From the Fox Business Network. A lot of consumer tech items like smartwatches and speakers have been spared by a new round of U.S. tariffs that hit some $200 billion worth of Chinese products today. But home modems, routers, and internet gateways that make them work will be subject to those tariffs. Ever feel like it's a little tight when you stuff yourself into an airline seat? Congress is considering legislation this week that could require the FAA to provide bigger seats and more legroom. Entrepreneurs and investors are rushing into the legal marijuana industry. Canada has become a hotbed for the cannabis industry because it's one of only 2 countries that has legalized recreational marijuana. With the Fox Business Report, I'm Carol Zimmer.
It's 8:05 on AM 560, and time for a dry basement in a healthy home. Time to call Permaseal 800-421-SEAL. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Do you owe back taxes or have years of unfiled returns? If you knowingly decline to file a tax return or have failed to pay money owed, you could be subject to criminal prosecution. If you owe the IRS money and suspect you're under a primary investigation or soon will be, you need to call Alleviate Tax. The IRS has never been more aggressive at going after owed money and can legally attempt to collect unpaid taxes for up to 10 years. But you don't have to be afraid. Call Alleviate Tax today and see whether you qualify for newly passed tax amnesty programs that can stop proceedings against you and settle your tax debt once and for all, potentially saving you thousands of dollars. But don't wait. These tax relief programs must be requested and promptly applied for. The IRS will not inform you of these opportunities. Don't risk liens, levies, wage garnishing, or even losing your home. Let our experts solve your tax worries. Call Alleviate Tax today. Call 800-514-5100. That's 800-514-5100. Again, 800-514-5100.
Don't you love fall and sleeping with the windows open? But are you really sleeping as well as you could? The MyPillow buy one, get one free offer is back for September. And if you haven't bought your MyPillow yet, here's your chance to get one for yourself, a loved one, or maybe as a gift. I love that I can move the field to get the support I need regardless of my sleep position. I never wake up with a stiff neck or headache. MyPillow is made in America, washable, dryable, hypoallergenic, and has a 10-year warranty plus that 60-day full money-back guarantee. So go online or call now for this great buy one, get one free deal on premium MyPillows. You can also get 30% off everything else, including the MyPillow mattress toppers, pet beds that my dog Bunky loves, luxury Giza cotton sheets, and more. Call 800-489-0201, use the promo code Amy, or visit MyPillow.com. That's 800-489-0201, promo code Amy.
Noted author, former chief medical correspondent, and Salonpas user Dr. Bob Arnott.
The human body has billions of pain receptors. Block those receptors with the anesthetics found in Salonpas Lidocaine Plus, and you'll have relief. Salonpas Lidocaine Plus contains 2 anesthetics, including the maximum strength lidocaine available without a prescription. They numb aggravated nerves for effective, lasting relief. For relief, try what I use, Salonpas Lidocaine Plus.
In the silver box with the blue wave.
How can a fully stocked restroom improve your image? How can serviced fire extinguishers or a first aid cabinet make your employees more prepared? How can comfortable work apparel make your business more productive? For over 1 million customers, the answer is simple. Cintas. Cintas delivers everything you need to open your doors with confidence. Because helping keep businesses well-equipped, clean, and looking their best, that's our business.
Oh, I'm ready!
Get Cintas and get ready for the workday.
It is 8:08 and a check on the roads in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. In for Jim, here's Dominic.
Thick traffic covers pretty much all the Chicago area at this point in the morning. Outbound Edens, 32 minutes from Montrose to Lake Cook. Inbound Kennedy, an hour 18. And from O'Hare, 44. And from the junction, 40 of the inbound express. Outbound Olays add up to an hour 8. Downtown out to O'Hare. Plenty busy from the Hubbard Tunnel out through Canfield. Inbound Ike, an hour 7 in from Thorndale. An hour 6 on the outbound trip. Delays inbound Stevenson begin at Harlem, an hour 2 in from 355. Inbound Ryan, 34 minutes, 95th in the downtown. Watch for brake lights inbound I-57 to begin right near 127th. Inbound Bishop Ford slows right near 130th. Northbound Lakeshore, busy Stevenson to Monroe. Also finding some trouble spots eastbound Jane Addams between Lee Street and the Tri-State. Had an earlier crash in that area. That's traffic. I'm Dominic Fortini.
From the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the 1-hour Heating and Air Conditioning Weather Center. Here's meteorologist Kevin Snyder.
Today, sunshine giving way to clouds, high 74. Tonight, mainly cloudy and mild with a passing shower, low 63. Occasional rain and a thunderstorm tomorrow, high 80. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
Warming up a bit, 62 at O'Hare and now 64 along Chicago's lakefront. Your next news update is at 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 on your mobile device. Now available on iHeartRadio. Online at iHeartRadio.com.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Our friend Bob Woodson, friend of the show, Woodson Senator, formerly Senator for Neighborhood Enterprise, civil rights leader, and great proponent of minority entrepreneurship, thus the Center for Neighborhood Enterprise, which morphed into the Woodson Center. Just a interesting, accomplished guy. He writes in The Hill. And we'll get to this because it'd be interesting to hear other people's stories as well. I appreciate him having the openness to share his stories. I've had experience in it on both sides of the issues, talking about sexual harassment and abuse. Perhaps some of the steps taken in my situation could serve as a guide as our country navigates this new age of political theater in the Me Too movement. He recounts one story where he's in the late 1970s. He's working as a program director for a major nonprofit in New York City, supervising a small staff. One woman, one of the temporary secretaries, came to him one morning. One woman who was a temporary secretary came to him. She sat down. She began to weep uncontrollably. She explained that for 5 or 6 months she had been having an affair with one of the men in the office. She said, Woodson recounts, as a Muslim and a single mother, sleeping with a married man was weighing on her conscience. She told him she wanted to end the relationship. He responded with anger, threatening to withhold her pay and make it difficult to continue to work in the organization. So I believed her. I helped her make arrangements to preserve her employment in a position away from the individual she said was threatening her. She was not asking that someone be fired, but rather that she be able to maintain her employment when it had been threatened by a person with a personal and possibly violent grudge. So that's one example. The other example he gives is on the receiving end. He's working at a different position in D.C., and he's invited to meet new staff. I should say he invited new staff to accompany him to a congressional reception on the Hill to meet some congressional staff with whom they'd be working. At the end of the evening, I drove the young woman to retrieve her car. I drove a young woman in the office. To retrieve her car near the office. She invited me to join her for a drink at her apartment. I declined, noting it was late and I had to get home. When I got home, I shared the young woman's offer with my wife and the next day with the young male staffer so he'd be aware as he interacted with this young woman. About 6 months later, I terminated her because of poor performance, but released her under circumstances that would allow her to collect unemployment. Within 2 weeks, my doubts and misgivings about the young woman were realized. The day after I terminated her, I arrived at work and was told to report to the office of the president, where I was greeted by our general counsel. They told me the young lady in question claimed she was let go because of her refusal to submit to my sexual advances.
Oh.
Both men told me they wanted to reach an out-of-court settlement with her. I told both of them that under no circumstances would I agree to this arrangement because she was lying. When they told her lawyer the decision, we never heard from them again. Woodson concludes, in my many years on this earth, he's in his 80s, I've witnessed, or about 80, I've witnessed women being treated as objects by their male coworkers and supervisors.
Yeah.
I'm inclined to believe women when they come forward with stories of harassment and assault or rape in the workplace. However, because of my experience as a wrongly accused party, I'm equally as likely to believe men when they claim innocence when accused of heinous acts. Both men and women are capable of leveling false but damaging allegations. Just a good perspective, a little wisdom from one of our elders there, Bob Woodson, as we watch the hysteria unfold today and for the rest of the week, and who knows how much longer in the Kavanaugh matter. All right, switching gears, but I want to get back to that and get people's perspectives on what Woodson had to say, their own professional lives. It's always interesting. It certainly informs people's views on what they're witnessing. But now Wednesday, this coming Wednesday at 5:30 p.m., our friend Eric Eggers, who's the research director at the Government Accountability Institute, will be at the Heartland Institute. Heartland.org is where you can get more details on Eric's appearance, at which I'm sure he will talk about his book, Fraud, How the Left Plans to Steal the Next Election. Eric, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Hey, thanks so much. And it's an interesting parallel between, and your discussion earlier, and it's such an important issue, but in many ways, right, the hysteria that's engulfed any claim of sexual harassment or Me Too, I think there's oddly a parallel with, what I write about in my book about voter fraud, because any effort, and I document this, to try to secure elections or try to prevent voter from occurring are almost always met with this hysteric cry of racism or racial oppression. And so I do think, just in both situations, I think it's important that you have an objective and dispassionate examination of what the actual facts, and that's obviously what I hope to do in the book and what I hope to talk about on Wednesday.
You mean and when you talk about hysteria and cries of racism, you're talking specifically about voter ID laws mainly?
Well, there's that, but it's not just that. And I think last time we spoke about this fallacy that requiring an ID is somehow racist, even though numerous states have actually seen increases in minority participation after they've implemented voter ID laws. But the real truth about voter fraud is that a lot of what I think you and I and your listeners would consider to be voter fraud is actually legal. And then what happens is, and there's a great example of this that occurred in South Florida, you had this sort of triumvirate of an elected local official and a state rep and a state senator, and they all were using this same political operative who was going out and filling out absentee ballot request forms on behalf of Haitian residents. Some people were blind, some people were elderly, and then he would then go out and harvest those same ballots. And the supervisor of election would flag it and say, hey, look, this is a problem. All these signatures are the same. Sometimes they're blank, but the law mandated that she sent out the absentee ballot request forms. Long story short, the sheriffs would actually end up investigating and found clear evidence of voter fraud. But the state senator, the state attorney, who's a former Democratic official, refused to prosecute. And when the newspaper would follow up and say, hey, what happened? There's clear evidence of voter fraud, because they were all of Haitian descent, to a man, every single one of them turned it into a racial issue. So it wasn't about the facts where you had forged signatures or what appeared to be violations of election law behavior, but it was in fact, it became about the ethnic minority of the people that were trying to get elected. So that's an example of, I think, oftentimes racial hues distort an objective analysis of what's actually occurring on the ground.
Well, in regards to our upcoming midterms, do you think voter fraud is going to take down Peter Roskam and Randy Hultgren?
I mean, I think they're going to try, right? There's certainly no evidence to suggest that the elections are more secure, or as secure as they need to be. I think every day I see news stories. There's a story in New Jersey about a woman admitting that she was paying $50 to get people's votes. You've seen people hack into election systems. We've got a candidate who's running for governor here in Florida who brags about his 15-year relationship with George Soros. And I think, we've got a network, a documented network and relationship between George Soros and Tom Perez that I think has infiltrated party machinery and ballot races in every corner of the country. And I think Illinois and Chicago is no different. So I think you guys, thankfully there's people like you that are monitoring it and talking about it. I spoke to a group of election law attorneys last month, and they said, listen, we're on the ground fighting this, but it's not easy. And a number of them were actually former prosecutors or judges that said, listen, I've seen these cases, but my hands are tied either because the law doesn't really allow me to do much, or because even if the law does allow me, I have such limited resources in my office. If I'm a prosecutor, what am I going after? Somebody that's, committing voter fraud, or somebody that's committing physical assault, right? So, many people would agree that voter fraud is the easiest crime to commit and get away with, and that's just a sad reality.
Well, it's funny because, not funny, funny, but funny, ironic, because last week we had a leading Democrat in St. Clair County at a rally for Democrats down there in the Metro East by St. Louis, where you've got another competitive congressional race, Mike Boss re-election, say to the assembled at this rally, get out there and, the typical kind of vote early, vote often, tongue-in-cheek, but it wasn't tongue-in-cheek. He said, do whatever you have to do. And, I shouldn't say this, but I'm not even kidding about it. I mean, straight face. It wasn't a punchline.
It wasn't a punchline. It's a rallying cry. And that's not uncommon these days. And I think, what you're realizing, look at what's happening with Kavanaugh now, right? I mean, you led in with some of the undercurrents, and maybe that's a tactic that's being employed strategically by Democrats and how to prevent this. But that's what's on the ballot, right? I mean, what you're seeing occurring, and a lot of people have raised questions about, is this ethical, the way that they're sort of maybe using this lady and the way they sat on this claim, and they're just doing whatever they can to scuttle the nomination. But I think we knew that would occur, right? I mean, what's on the ballot is the blocking of a Supreme Court nominee, the impeachment of the president, the abolishment of ICE, and the entire laundry list of progressive agenda items that I think we're seeing all over the country. So, and yeah, these people have, I think, this perception of that they have the moral authority because this guy, Donald Trump, is clearly evil, right? He doesn't respect women, doesn't respect immigrants. He is the antithesis of all the progressive values. So in their opinion, anything that they can do is warranted and justified as long as it results in the impeachment of Donald Trump and the blocking of the Supreme Court nominee. And I think that's what you're seeing in Kavanaugh now is what you're going to see at the ballot box.
What at the ballot box? Do you think social media is also one of the referenda on the November 6th ballot? You've got word that an executive order is being drafted to look at social media giants in terms of their content, how they manage content or other people's content, which ultimately is their content. We've seen a lot of discussion over the last several weeks, including the appearance of executives from the big companies before members of Congress, and some suggestion by Mark Stein and others that we're so worried about Russia when it's Twitter, Facebook, and Google that are going to have a much more manipulative effect on our electoral outcomes.
Well, that's an excellent point. I don't know if you did this on purpose, but I'm actually the producer on a film that debuted in New York and D.C. last week and will be coming to Amazon and iTunes soon. And I'll be speaking about this at the Heartland Institute on Wednesday as well. But the film's called The Creepy Line, and it's a documentary about Google and Facebook and how much power they have over the American public to manipulate us in an unsuspecting way. And one of the things that we talk about in that film is the power that Google and Facebook both could have in terms of swaying elections. Facebook, if they modify what people see in terms of their news feed, and or they just get out the vote reminders, specifically only the Democrats. Google, and there's a psychologist whose work we feature in the film named Robert Epstein, and he's documented the way in which you can manipulate the way search results come back or even the autocomplete box, and that can impact some voting demographics up to 80%. Actually, the voting demographic that's most susceptible to manipulation is moderate Republicans. So you're absolutely right, and I think that's a very real problem. I mean, the good news for us is I have it on good authority that film, which again was screened in D.C. last week, has caught the attention of some people in the White House, and we're hopeful that people are taking a look at that. But you're right. I mean, that's only going to motivate what's clearly a reliable leftist bloc in terms of the social media titans to try to make sure that they have a desired outcome in November, 100%.
He is Eric Eggers, research director at the Government Accountability Institute. The book, Fraud, How the Left Plans to Steal the Next Election, and the movie, The Creepy Line, that you just heard, will be coming out on Amazon. He'll be at the Heartland Institute this Wednesday evening, 5:30 p.m., heartland.org for all of the details. Eric, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much, guys.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies in a capsule.
I spent years studying how to make this the best. I didn't make this because I wanted to make a company. Other companies are starting to catch on to this, and I buy every single other product that comes out so I can look at it and see it and test it. And I fear that people will buy some counterfeit and take it for a couple of months and go, oh, it's a bunch of crap. Doesn't work. Don't be fooled. This is the real stuff. We have absolutely the best process, and I can say that because we purchase every single one and check them out.
I took everything that was on the market. Nothing ever worked. Nothing ever worked. And this is the first thing that's really worked.
Nothing can compare with the benefits of Balance of Nature.
For a limited time, use discount code CHICAGO to receive a 50% discount on your first preferred whole health system and have it shipped to you free. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go online to balanceofnature.com. Again, use discount code CHICAGO.
Imagine your son after a year of college. What kind of man do you hope to see? A man fully alive and committed to making good choices and doing the right thing because they are right and because he's strong enough? Northridge Prep in Niles builds that kind of man. Find out more at an open house on Sunday, October 21st. See for yourself what makes Northridge Prep the #1 all-boys school 3 years running and the 4th best Catholic school in Illinois. Their academically rigorous curriculum celebrates the adventure of boyhood. Hall Fest, the Superfans, jousting tournaments, and more make it a good place to be a boy. Northridge Prep is an independent school for boys grades 6 through 12. They produce men with the ability to think for themselves. Graduates go to the best universities, including the Ivy League. Every teacher is a role model, and 50% of the faculty attended a top 20 university. Oh, and by the way, they also stand for the anthem even when their opposing teams don't. Remember that story about University of Lab Schools last year versus Northridge Prep?
Yep.
Yeah. Don't miss Northridge Prep's open house on Sunday, October 21st. Learn more and register online at northridgeprep.org. That's northridgeprep.org.
Have you checked your Google search results lately? Search results are usually the first impression that people form of you or your business, so make sure that they create a positive impression with ReputationDefender.com. What the internet says about you can have a big impact on your life and your livelihood, even if it's not true. Fortunately, you can now control how you look online and in online search results with ReputationDefender.com. Call 800-694-2640 now. That's 800-694-2640 for your free reputation analysis. If you have negative material from an ex-employee, upset patient, or former client, newspaper article, legal issue, social media, or other source showing up in your search results, you can combat it with ReputationDefender.com. Our dedicated experts in patented technology can help make your online search results look their best. Call 800-694-2640 to learn more. 800-694-2640. That's 800-694-2640. Or visit ReputationDefender.com.
Hi, this is Amy Jacobson, and just because summer's over doesn't mean it's too late to paint your home. You know, the new thing right now is painting kitchen and bathroom cabinets white. And CertaPro painters can do just that. Mine are gorgeous, and it really opens up the kitchen and bathroom. Their quality work and attention to detail is unmatched. And the cold weather will be here soon. Sorry for the buzzkill, but this is Chicago, and you know what happens every 3 or 4 months. So it's time to make sure the exterior of your home is protected from the elements. And you'll want the interior looking great for holiday parties with family and friends. Yes, that's right around the corner. So don't put it off. Time to hire CertaPro painters, your residential and commercial painting experts. You can schedule a free estimate online at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with the C, or call 1-800-GO-CERTA. Each CertaPro painter's business is independently owned and operated. Once again, get a free estimate at CertaPro.com or call 800-GO-CERTA. CertaPro painters, we do painting, you do life.
Looking to secure financing on a new home or refinance your existing home? Then you need to call Team Hochberg. Supporting veterans is our passion. That's why we support Veteran Roasters, a Chicago coffee roaster that hires homeless and chronically unemployed veterans. If you'd like to help create jobs for homeless veterans, visit veteranroasters.com and purchase a 12-ounce bag of coffee roasted and ground by once homeless and unemployed veterans. The coffee's delicious, and the profits are reinvested in hiring additional homeless veterans. Use promo code Team Hochberg to save 50% off the second bag you purchase. If you're a veteran securing a VA loan and would like to work with a local lender who supports veterans, call Team Hochberg now at 312-751-1333 or visit am560david.com. Team Hochberg has helped thousands of AM560 listeners, but we can't help if you don't call 312-751-1333 or visit am560david.com. Pearl Mortgage and Equal Housing Lender, Illinois Residential Mortgage Licensee 4358 and MLS 19186.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, reports are that Trump and the difference of opinion over Trump is breaking up marriages. Well, Dr. Paul Gosar, who is a dentist and a congressman from Arizona, one of the more conservative areas in Arizona, he's breaking up the family. This is just a remarkable ad. It's difficult to imagine a more brutal ad this cycle than this. Paul Gosar comes from a big family, a lot of siblings. And because of some comments he made about George Soros, which were regrettable, in my estimation.
In reference to Charlottesville.
But about Soros specifically being like a Nazi collaborator, which is a rumor that really has no basis in truth. You don't need to overstate the case against George Soros. But Gosar did, and his family demanded he apologize.
Yeah, they didn't like that.
So much so that they've cut a spot for his opponent.
None of this is pleasant for any of us.
It's horrible to have to do this.
To speak up against my brother, it brings sadness to me.
This isn't just about Paul. This is about their family.
I think my brother has traded a lot of the values we had at our kitchen table.
I couldn't be quiet any longer, nor should any of us be.
We got to stand up for our good name. This is not who we are.
It's intervention time. And intervention time means that you go to vote, and you go to vote Paul out. My name is Tim Gosar.
My name is Jennifer Gosar.
Gaston Gosar.
Joan Gosar.
Grace Gosar.
David Gosar.
Paul Gosar is my brother.
My brother.
My brother. And I endorse Dr. Brill.
Dr. Brill. Dr. Brill.
And I wholeheartedly endorse Dr. David Brill for Congress.
Ouch.
I'm Dr. David Brill, and I approve this message.
I bet you did.
Well, they said that his siblings are all disgruntled Hillary supporters. And Mama Gosar didn't take too kindly to what her siblings did. She put out a statement saying she's shocked and crushed. I share the same philosophy and policies that Paul does. He's done a hell of a job for Arizona, and they love him. And he tweeted back, the best tweet I've ever heard. I always knew I was Mom's favorite.
That's awesome. That's a great zinger right back. That is pitch perfect.
See you at Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Yeah,
boy.
That's fantastic.
Put away the sharp objects. Here's the thing. Even though what Gosar said about Soros was regrettable,
dumb, yeah.
The idea that would be the cause of all of your siblings breaking bad on you like that in such a public way, that really speaks poorly of them. And I wonder if this doesn't ultimately redound to Gosar's benefit.
But also, too, none of them live in Arizona, so they're not constituents anyway, okay?
All right.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Ronan Farrow speaketh about his report on the second Kavanaugh accuser at 8:38.
But first, let's get into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, President Trump busy this week as the UN General Assembly gets underway. This morning, he addressed an event called Global Action on the World Drug Problem with UN Ambassador Nikki Haley speaking just ahead of him.
The global call of action began as a way to build awareness among world leaders about the drug problem. The next step is to reaffirm the commitment of UN member states to key UN conventions and institutions devoted to this issue.
Over 120 countries are already on board Haley and the president's effort, backing them with money and people. The hope is to sway even more backers. There's a new sexual misconduct allegation against Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh. You've been talking about it with Dan and Amy this morning here on AM 560. The New Yorker magazine reports a woman who was at Yale with Kavanaugh in the early 1980s makes a claim that he exposed himself in front of her during what she called a drunken dorm party that she cannot exactly remember. SiriusXM, a buyer this morning, buying Pandora, the music service, for over $3.5 billion. Bill Cosby's days as a free man could be ending. The sentencing hearing for the legendary comedian begins today in a Philadelphia suburb. Thousands in and around Georgetown, South Carolina, are being urged to get out before floodwaters sweep over the area. As many as 8,000 in that community are expected to leave immediately. A threat at a North Suburban high school is being investigated, found by students last week at Glenbrook South High School. The message on the back of a desk said there would be a school shooting on September 25th. 2 downtown Chicago hotels will be affected by resolution of an ongoing labor strike, at least at those 2 hotels, the Allegro and Palomar. Unite Local 1 came to an agreement with those 2 hotels over the weekend. Bears over the Cardinals in the desert, 16-14. Cubs over the White Sox, 6-1. The news is a service of UPSJobs.com. What is future you doing right now? You could be working for UPS as a part-time package handler. Hiring now in Hodgkins. Plus, receive tuition assistance from UPS Earn and Learn programs. Apply now at UPSJobs.com. 8:34 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dennis Prager explains the downfall of our society.
A man who was led an exemplary life is accused of groping a girl in high school, and it's derailing his nomination to the Supreme Court. And I am not supposed to think my society is sick, but it doesn't matter to the left. The left is a moral fraud.
The Dennis Prager Show, weekdays at 11, right before Sean Hannity at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies in a capsule.
I thought I had a sinus headache for a few days, but I had a massive brain aneurysm, hemorrhage of the brain, and a stroke. And I was on my deathbed. I was on a respirator in a coma for 35 days. And 3 months later, I came home in a wheelchair. I had double vision. I had to learn to walk again, to speak again. 1 and 1 is 2, write the alphabet. You know, if I went out and did a little something, I'd come home, I'd be in bed. Now I'm up by like 5:30 in the morning, and I go to the gym. I do shopping. I cook. I have energy all day. I mean, I feel great. Overall, my whole outlook, just feeling, my mental aspect, everything is better.
For a limited time, use discount code CHICAGO to receive a 50% discount on your first preferred whole health system and have it shipped to you free. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go online to balanceofnature.com. Again, use discount code CHICAGO.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Do you know your bank's fraud tolerance? I'm Ann Dollagall, Treasury Management Executive. At Signature Bank, we have zero tolerance. While some of the big banks may write off smaller incidences of fraud, we use a multi-layered approach to fight fraud before it happens to our customers. There's been a record number of businesses hit with payments fraud this year. Keeping your business assets safe is our top priority. We are trained, and we will train you to recognize potential wire fraud threats and business email compromise scams. Call us today to find out how Signature Bank can work with your business to fight fraud.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-444-2013. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-444-2013. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-444-2013. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds, too. Call 800-444-2013. 800-444-2013.
It is 8:38. A check on the roads in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. In for Jim Telemonte, here's Dominic Fortini.
Thick traffic covers pretty much all the Chicago area at this point in the morning. Outbound Eden's 32 minutes from Montrose to Lake Cook. Inbound Kennedy an hour 18, and from O'Hare 44, and from the junction 40 of the inbound express. Outbound Olays add up to an hour 8 downtown out to O'Hare. Plenty busy from the Hubbard Tunnel out through Canfield. Inbound Ike an hour 7 in from Thorndale, an hour 6 on the outbound trip. Olays inbound Stevenson begin at Harlem an hour 2 in from 355. Inbound Ryan 34 minutes 95th in the downtown. Watch for brake lights inbound I-57 to begin right near 127th. Inbound Bishop Ford slows right near 130th. Northbound Lakeshore busy Stevenson to Monroe. Also finding some trouble spots eastbound Jane Addams between Lee Street and the Tri-State. Had an earlier crash in that area. That's traffic. I'm Dominic Fortini.
From the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the 1-hour heating and air conditioning weather center. Sunshine gives way to clouds. High of 74. Cloudy, mild, with a passing shower overnight. Low 63. 62 and sunshine. Next news at 9, and Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is sponsored by the Townstone Financial Show, Saturday afternoons at 1. Nobody values your mortgage business like Townstone. Listen and call for the best advice.
See Sheriff David Clark and James O'Keefe at Freedom Summit 2018. Tickets on sale now at freedomsummitchicago.com.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. And We've got to update the Ronan Farrow story. This Deborah Ramirez, a second accuser of Brett Kavanaugh, broke over the weekend. She is 53, attended Yale with Kavanaugh, and accuses him reluctantly after being approached by reporters and after some careful assessing of her memories. This according to Ronan Farrow's piece. Ramirez said she felt confident enough that she remembers Kavanaugh exposing himself to her at a drunken dorm party 35 years ago.
And not only reporters seeking her out, Ronan Farrow claims that Senate Democrats were seeking her out.
She says that at first she wasn't sure this was Kavanaugh when you first came to her last week. And then you write, after 6 days of carefully assessing her memories and consulting with her attorney, she did become confident that it was him. You know, a lot of people...
And George, I would say that that's extremely typical of these stories. When you're dealing with trauma, alcohol, many years in between, I think that the more cautious witnesses that I've dealt with in cases like this very frequently say, I want to take time to decide, I want to talk to other people involved, I want to search myself and make sure that I can affirmatively stand by these claims in the face of what she knew would be a crucible of partisan pushback, which is what she's receiving now.
Why did she come forward?
She came forward because Senate Democrats began looking at this claim. She did not flag this for those Democrats. This came to the attention of people on the Hill independently, and it's really cornered her into an awkward position. That's why she took time to think about this carefully. You know, she said point blank, I don't want to ruin anyone's life, but she feels this is a serious claim. You know, she considers her own memories credible, and she felt it was important that she tell her story before others did without her consent.
So the same questions are operative here that are operative with the Blasey Ford allegations, which is one, is it credible, and two, even if it's true, is it disqualifying for Kavanaugh's confirmation? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line.
But the problem with this flimsy rush to print story about the second accuser is the four people that she mentioned, all of them denied what happened.
If there is no eyewitness confirmation, if no one can definitively say Brett Kavanaugh was there other than Debbie Ramirez, why did you feel so comfortable running with this story?
Two reasons. The first is there is a strong evidentiary basis. Her claim is corroborated, as you said, to an extent that is not always possible by people who did not know her, have not interacted with her, and yet independently recounted the same fact pattern. Some of those people are on the record in this story, so I'd point you to the piece. The other is, I think, the same reason that she decided to speak, John, which is this is a story that is out there on the Hill. It is being investigated. It is a matter of news whether she tells her own version of this story or not. That put her in an exceptionally difficult position, and I think, you know, the public deserve to hear her version of this story because it will be a source of tremendous conflict on the Hill in the coming days.
From Ronan Farrow's piece, one of the male classmates who Ramirez said egged on Kavanaugh denied any memory of the party. I don't think Brett would flash himself to Debbie or anyone for that matter. Two of the male classmates who Ramirez alleged were involved in the incident. The wife of a third male student said she was involved, and three other classmates, who are named, disputed Ramirez's account of events. We were the people closest to Kavanaugh during his first year at Yale. He was a roommate to some of us. We spent a great deal of time with him, including in the dorm where this incident allegedly occurred. Some of us were also friends with Ramirez during that time and her time at Yale. We can say with confidence that if the incident Debbie alleges ever occurred, we would have seen or heard about it, and we did not.
Her best friend, who says she knew everything about Ramirez in college, said she never mentioned a word of this.
So
another Democratic plant?
So how do you sift through this, though, for the purposes of adjudicating the matter of his confirmation? You have sort of the dynamic here, at least in its early stage, that you've had with the Blasey Ford allegations, which is the people that are supposed to corroborate the story all refute the story, or certainly they cannot confirm the story, in part because, you know, it happened 35 years ago. And it was probably not particularly consequential, at least for the alleged witnesses as compared to the accusers, or certainly Kavanaugh, who has denied this allegation just as he denied Blasey Ford's. So how do you adjudicate the matter? The Amish texter is calling us from the secret
bat
tin
line?
can with the string that we have set up for him solely.
Yes. Reluctantly, this is very sad, but after searching my memory, I do have to come forward as a third accuser. It was shortly after Rumspringa. I was over in Pennsylvania at Yoder's Amish cooking, and there was a Lancaster, and I believe he was there with his fraternity brothers on a walkout to Penn State. And Amy, I think you know how these fraternity brothers act. I think you know what the eyes mean. And they were leering at the muffins, and they mentioned comments about the Amish buns and even our pies. And then later on, in the bathroom, it was just me and Kavanaugh. I've searched my memory. To the best of my recollection, I'm standing at the urinal. He leans over. Yes, he leaned over and looked, and then he said it. He said, "I could see why you Amish are good at wood." Now, is that a qualifying? Is that a qualifying?
Thank you for sharing the
thing
story.
in the eye of the Democrats, or is that disqualifying?
That's
Maybe
something
you should
we'll
call
have.
Ronan Farrow.
We will
But
have.
by the way, the reason why Blazy Crazy cannot get out there is I'm taking her in the buggy. She wanted to go
By
a
buggy.
slow, safe route by buggy, and we're going to arrive there. Is it Thursday? Yeah, Thursday.
Yeah, I hope you'll be compensated by the federal government for your transport. Thank you, Amish texter. Appreciate that. Thank you for treating this with the seriousness it merits.
It's a great story.
Yes.
Don't let the facts get in the way of a good story.
Charlotte in Arlington Heights.
Hi. How many times were we told with President Bill Clinton it really didn't matter about his private life, as long as he could do the job? Sex with an intern in the Oval Office, and Juanita Broderick and Kathleen Willey sure spoke out to friends and coworkers, but they were pretty much ignored.
Right. And so what should we do here?
Make him a judge on a justice of the Supreme Court. They'll find 3 more people tomorrow.
Thanks for the call, Charlotte. Interestingly, there's this other piece of it. The narrative the left wants to tell about Republicans, about conservatives. White men, right? You've heard over and over again. These white men on the Senate Judiciary Committee.
Yeah, there are 11 Republicans. They're going to question her.
Sophia Nelson, writing in the Daily Beast, who claims she's a moderate Republican. I'd like to see her voting card, or with her voting history. But okay, she writes this in calling for Kavanaugh to withdraw his nomination. I think our nation is losing. I think we've gone down a political rabbit hole that we may never return from. We hate our opponents now. We don't just disagree. We can't lose agreeably. We must destroy their reputation. We must dig up dirt. We must hurt their families and put them in danger even just to prove that we are right. This is not healthy for democracy. This is not good for a nation that once upon a time was made of optimists. Yeah, okay. And then so help me work the logic to this. America has fallen. Judge Kavanaugh may not have been your cup of tea or mine. But for me, and then she goes on to say, or he could end up being another Lewis Powell or Sandra Day or Anthony Kennedy. Doubtful, but okay. She goes on to say, for me, Kavanaugh is too damaged in the eye of at least many Americans in a way no Supreme Court nominee has been, including Clarence Thomas. This is a new day, but the GOP seems stuck in the past century. Their side of the Senate Judiciary Committee has never had a woman sit on it in the 202-year history. The Democrats have had 4 of them on the committee today, as if that means anything. The GOP is the old, white, angry boys club. They don't get it. The logic of that sort of escapes me. You're talking about how the nation is losing and we're going down this dark road from which we may never return, and then you're saying, and so we should concede the point, I guess is her argument, by having Kavanaugh withdraw. That's an odd argument. In addition to the statement about the old white angry boys club that the GOP allegedly is. Boy, it's hardly that, isn't it? Is that what it is? Because it seems to me all the hate is coming from the left. That's where the real hate is. And by the way, Sophia Nelson's just describing it 3 paragraphs above where she calls the GOP the old white angry boys club. It's so So cliched, isn't it?
It's old.
So banal. So unthinking. It's a recitation of a DNC talking point. In point of fact, I would refer Miss Nelson and everybody else to the wisdom of Shelby Steele, who writes over the weekend explaining why the left is consumed with hate. For many of the left, a hateful anti-Americanism has become a self-congratulatory lifestyle. Uses the Andrew Cuomo, America was never that great, as an example. For other leftists, hate is a license. Conservative speakers can be shouted down, even assaulted on campuses. Republican officials can be harassed in restaurants. How did the American left conceive to bring more compassion and justice to the world become given to hate? It began in the 60s, when America finally accepted slavery and segregation were profound moral failings. That changed America forever. It imposed a new moral imperative. America would have to show itself redeemed in these immoralities, in order to stand as a legitimate democracy. The genius of the left in the 60s was to perceive the new moral imperative and then to identify with it. Thus, the labor of redeeming the nation from its immoral past would fall on the left. This is how the left put itself in charge of America's moral legitimacy. The left, not the right, would set the terms of this legitimacy and deliver from America from shame to decency. And this has provided the left with enormous political and cultural power, not to mention more than $22 trillion in government spending towards these ends. Steele goes on to note that this amounted to a formula for power. The greater the menace to the nation's moral legitimacy, the more the power redounded to the left. Here's the problem. Most of these menaces are gone, and so you have to create new ones. For example, this is Shelby Steele's writing. White on black shootings evoke America's history of racism and so carry an iconic payload of menace. Witness Michael Brown and Ferguson. Black on black shootings carry no such payload, although they are truly menacing to the black community. They evoke only despair, and the left gets power from fighting white evil, not black despair. The left gets power from fighting white evil, not black despair. Hatred is a transformative power. It can make the innocuous into the menacing. For King, hatred was not necessary as a means to power. The actual details of oppression were enough. Power came to him because he rejected hate as a method of resisting menace. He called on blacks not to be defined by what menaced them. Today, because menace provides moral empowerment, blacks and their ostensible allies indulge in it. The menace of black victimization becomes the unarguable truth of the black identity, and here we are again, forever victims. And Steele sort of signals an optimistic note, basically saying, look, you're inventing a boogeyman, you're inventing things that don't actually exist, and so for the American left today, the indulgence in hate is a death rattle, that ultimately this won't work out for them, not in the medium term. But in the short term, can it derail a nominee for the Supreme Court? Perhaps. Daniel in Algonquin.
Yeah, hi, thanks for taking my call. The proof for Kavanaugh for me is that nobody wants her to testify. Her lawyers don't believe her. They don't want her to testify. None of the Democrats on the committee want to testify. They want to put it off as far as possible because they don't believe her. Nobody believes her.
Well, thanks for the call, Daniel. I'm not so sure about that, or whether they believe her or not. I would say whether she's telling the truth or not is irrelevant to them. It's the ends that's relevant, and that's it. Will and Skokie.
Good morning. Yeah, the thing we have to remember here is identity politics is, in the final analysis, the destroyer of democracy. You hear all the Democrats always talking about democracy, how Trump's ruining our democracy. You know, they're ruining it. They're parsing the electorate into ever smaller and smaller groups and labeling them as victims. And we wind up with democracy being destroyed, and then the people who are victims somehow have more rights and more calls because of their oppression to be heard. And we wind up with democracy, full democracy, which is in the essence mob rule. Thank you.
Thanks, Will.
Hear about the big stories of the day then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Hi, this is Amy Jacobson, and just because summer's over doesn't mean it's too late to paint your home. You know, the new thing right now is painting kitchen and bathroom cabinets white. And CertaPro painters can do just that. Mine are gorgeous, and it really opens up the kitchen and bathroom. Their quality work and attention to detail is unmatched. And the cold weather will be here soon. Sorry for the buzzkill, but this is Chicago, and you know what happens every 3 or 4 months. So it's time to make sure the exterior of your home is protected from the elements. And you'll want the interior looking great for holiday parties with family and friends. Yes, that's right around the corner. So don't put it off. Time to hire CertaPro painters, your residential and commercial painting experts. You can schedule a free estimate online at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with the C, or call 1-800-GO-CERTA. Each CertaPro painter's business is independently owned and operated. Once again, get a free estimate at CertaPro.com or call 800-GO-CERTA. CertaPro painters, we do painting, you do life.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies in a capsule.
I feel wonderful. I mean, a while ago, I was walking and my whole left side went tingly, and I don't know what happened. I've had the after effects of that in my hands and my legs, and I've noticed that since I've taken the fruits and veggies, I don't have that anymore. So that is one thing that I am very, very pleased with, is I don't feel any of that tingly sensation in my foot. It's like my nerves are getting healed or something. It's just wonderful. I love this. I'm very, very impressed with this product.
For a limited time, use discount code CHICAGO to receive a 50% discount on your first preferred whole health system and have it shipped to you free. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go online to balanceofnature.com. Again, use discount code CHICAGO.
The following is a paid political announcement.
Do you believe Springfield works for us? Sean Thompson from Elmwood Park doesn't.
Nobody represents me, and nobody represents you. They represent themselves.
Ann Peterson from West Chicago isn't getting her money's worth out of Springfield.
I don't believe that we're getting additional value for the additional taxes that we're paying.
Your property taxes go up, your home value goes down. Politicians waste your money. The government takes your home. Rich, poor, Republican, Democrat, we're all the same when it comes to property taxes. Gino Fioravanti of River Forest is leaving Illinois because of high taxes.
We're not going to be living in Illinois anymore, and it's due to the property taxes. They've just gotten out of control.
It's bipartisan failure.
You either force politicians who oppose property tax caps out